The sun has begun its slow descent behind the distant hills. The sky is losing its intense blue, fading into a soft, washed-out gray, mixed with the faint orange of the dying day. It is the time when work ends. It is the time when the noise of the city begins to settle into a low, rhythmic hum. There is no rush here. There is nowhere you need to be. You can simply exist in this moment, watching the shadows lengthen across the cobblestones. The stone of the street is still warm from the afternoon sun. If you were to touch the rough surface of the volcanic rock paving the road, you would feel that gentle, stored heat radiating upward. It is a comforting warmth. It is steady. It is predictable. Imagine standing near the doorway of a small shop, a taberna. The shop is nothing grand. It is a simple room opening onto the street. The walls are made of brick and covered in plain, cream-colored plaster that has cracked slightly in the corners over the years. The air smells faintly of dry dust, old wood, and the lingering scent of baked bread from earlier in the day. Let your shoulders drop. Let your breath slow down. There is nothing to worry about in this city. The legions are far away. The borders are quiet. The emperor is in Rome, and here life simply continues, one heartbeat at a time. Inside the small shop, a man is finishing his day. He is an ordinary man. He wears a tunic of undyed wool, the color of oatmeal, tied simply at the waist. The fabric is rough but durable. It has been worn many times, washed in the river and dried in the sun. It is a garment of utility, not fashion. He moves slowly. There is a deliberate heaviness to his movements, the kind that comes after 12 hours of standing. He is not tired in a painful way, just drained, ready for rest. He walks to the front of the shop where the wooden counter faces the street. The wood of the counter is polished smooth by thousands of hands and thousands of elbows leaning upon it over the years. It is oak, dark and solid. On this counter sits a small pile of coins. This is what he has earned today. It is not a fortune. It is not enough to buy a villa or a ship. It is just enough. It is ordinary money for an ordinary day. He reaches out a hand, his fingers dusted with a little flour, and picks up one of the coins. It is an as, a copper coin. It is the most common currency of the day. It feels cool against his warm skin. It has a weight to it, a specific, reassuring density. It is not a flimsy piece of metal. It is a solid disc of copper about the width of a man's thumb. He turns the coin over in his hand. The motion is slow, over and over. The metal is worn smooth. Once, perhaps 40 years ago, the face of an emperor was stamped sharply onto this copper. But now the face is just a silhouette. The nose is worn down. The letters of the inscription, the name, the titles, the honors, have been rubbed away by the thumbs of soldiers, the palms of farmers, and the fingers of merchants. This coin has traveled. It has been in the pouch of a legionary in Gaul. It has been dropped in the mud of a market in Spain. It has paid for a cup of wine in a tavern in Italy. And now it is here in this quiet shop in the fading light. The man places the copper as down on the wood. Clink. The sound is dull and flat. It is not a sharp ring. It is the sound of heavy metal settling on solid wood. He picks up another. This one is smaller, a quadrans. It is worth very little, a quarter of an as. You could perhaps buy a very small amount of cheap wine with this, or perhaps pay for a bath on a discount day. It is bronze, darker than the copper. It feels lighter, almost insignificant, but it is still money. It still counts. He stacks the quadrans on top of the as. He continues this process, counting, stacking, 1 coin, 2 coins, 3 coins. The movements are repetitive. There is a rhythm to it: pick up, inspect, place down, pick up, inspect, place down. There is no greed in his eyes. He is not counting with excitement. He is simply verifying the reality of the day. This is the exchange of his life's hours for these small circles of metal. The light outside is growing dimmer now. The orange in the sky has turned to a deep, bruised purple. The shadows in the corners of the shop are stretching out, claiming the space. He knows he must light the lamp soon, but for now he enjoys the twilight. It saves oil, and oil costs money. Let's think about that oil for a moment. The olive oil that will fuel his lamp. To earn the money for that oil, a farmer had to tend trees for decades. The olives had to be harvested, beaten from the branches with long poles. They had to be gathered in baskets, crushed in a stone press, the golden liquid separated from the bitter water. Then the oil had to be put into clay amphorae, large jars with two handles. Those jars were loaded onto a cart. The cart was pulled by oxen, moving at a slow, plodding pace along the Roman roads. The wheels of the cart creaked, creak, creak, mile after mile. The oxen breathed heavily in the morning mist. The driver walked beside them, his sandals slapping the stone. All of that effort, just so this man in this shop could eventually trade 3 copper coins for a small flask of oil to push back the darkness. Everything is connected by these slow, heavy coins. The man finishes counting. He has 12 asses and 4 semis half-asses. It is a modest sum. He takes a leather pouch from his belt. The leather is soft, old, and stained dark from use. He opens the drawstring. The string is a simple leather thong, knotted at the ends. He scoops the coins from the counter, sliding them into the pouch. They jingle softly, a muted, muffled sound as they settle against each other in the darkness of the bag. He pulls the drawstring tight. He ties a knot. He tucks the pouch back into his belt, feeling the familiar weight against his hip. Now it is time to close the shop. This, too, is a ritual. It happens every evening in every city of the empire, from the sands of Egypt to the mist of Britannia. The closing of the shutters. The shop has heavy wooden shutters that fold out to cover the open front. They are made of thick planks of pine, held together by iron bands. The iron is black and rough to the touch. The man walks to the left side of the entrance. He unhooks a latch. The metal is cold. He swings the first shutter inward. The hinges are old. They make a low groan, clunk. The sound echoes slightly in the emptying street. It is not a harsh sound, just the sound of the day ending. He walks to the right side. He unhooks the second latch. He swings the second shutter, clunk. Now the shop is darker. The only light comes from the small gap between the shutters before he secures them. He picks up a heavy wooden crossbar. It is a thick beam of timber, square and solid. He lifts it. It is heavy. He slots one end into a bracket on the left shutter. He slides the other end into a bracket on the right shutter. The shop is now sealed. The world outside, the street, the paving stones, the passing carts is gone. He is inside. It is private. It is quiet. He stands there for a moment in the near darkness. His eyes adjust. He knows this room perfectly. He knows where the stool is. He knows where the table is. He does not need to see clearly to navigate. He moves to a small niche in the wall where a clay lamp sits. It is a simple object, shaped like a teardrop made of terracotta. It has a small handle and a spout where the wick protrudes. The clay is unglazed, rough and porous, stained black around the nozzle from years of burning. He strikes a spark. It takes a moment, a flash of flint, a catch of tinder. Then a tiny flame. He transfers the flame to the wick of the lamp. The fire catches. It is small. It is yellow and weak. It flickers for a second, then stabilizes into a steady, glowing tear of light. The smell of burning olive oil fills the air immediately. It is a distinctive scent, earthy, slightly greasy, familiar. It is the smell of a Roman night. The light from the lamp does not reach the corners of the room. It only illuminates a small circle around the table. The man sits down on a three-legged wooden stool. The wood creaks under his weight. He leans forward, his elbows on the table. He reaches for a wax tablet. This is how he tracks his life. The tablet is a flat piece of wood, hollowed out in the center and filled with dark beeswax. The wax is smooth, waiting to be written upon. Next to it lies a stylus, a sharp, pointed instrument made of bone. He picks up the stylus. He holds it like a pen. He presses the point into the soft, dark wax. He writes slowly. He is not a scribe. He is not a scholar. His letters are blocky and functional. He carves the Roman numeral for 10. X, then 2 vertical lines, II, 12. He pauses. He looks at the wax. The stylus has pushed the wax up slightly at the edges of the lines. He smooths it down with the flat end of the stylus. He writes the symbol for the smaller coins. This is his accounting. This is his record. It is boring work. It is necessary work. It is the slow accumulation of history, recorded in beeswax that will be smoothed over and erased tomorrow to make room for a new day. He stares at the flame of the lamp. The oil level is high. He filled it this morning. He watches the tiny pool of liquid around the wick. It is golden and clear. He thinks about what he will buy tomorrow. He needs bread. Bread is the fuel of the empire. More than the legions, more than the laws, bread keeps Rome moving. Tomorrow morning, he will take 2 of those copper asses he just earned. He will walk to the bakery down the street. The bakery will be warm. It will smell of yeast and toasted flour. The baker will be there, covered in white dust, just as he is every day. He will exchange the heavy, cold copper coins for a round loaf of bread, pannies. The bread will be round, scored into 8 sections like a wheel. It will be dense. It will be chewy. It will have a thick crust that requires strong teeth to tear. He imagines the taste of the bread. Simple, sustaining. He will perhaps buy a little cheese to go with it, a hard, salty cheese made from sheep's milk. Pecorino. The cheese costs more. He will have to decide if he wants to spend the extra quadrans. Maybe he will. Maybe he will save it. Saving is slow. It takes months to fill the leather pouch. But there is a calmness in the slow accumulation. Every coin is a moment of patience. The room is very quiet now. Outside, the street is almost silent. Occasionally, you can hear the footsteps of a night watchman passing by. Step, step, step. The sound fades into the distance. Then silence returns. The man rubs his eyes. The day is done. The earning is done. The spending is done. Now there is only the sitting, the resting. The flame flickers. A small draft from the door makes the shadow of the man dance gently on the wall. The shadow stretches and shrinks, rhythmic and hypnotic. Let us drift away from the man in the shop for a moment. Let us float out through the small gap in the roof tiles, out into the cool night air. Below us, the city is a collection of shapes and shadows. The roofs are tiled in terracotta. In the moonlight, they look like the scales of a great, sleeping beast. There are no street lights. The streets are canyons of darkness. Only here and there, a small glow from a window or a doorway shows that someone is still awake. Most people are sleeping, the ordinary people. They have finished their work. They have counted their coins, they have eaten their bread. They are lying on straw mattresses covered in wool blankets. They are dreaming of simple things: a good harvest, a new pair of sandals, a letter from a cousin in another province. The economy of the empire has paused for the night. The coins are resting in pouches and jars. The goods are sitting on shelves. The carts are parked in courtyards. The oxen are chewing cud in their stalls. It is a time of suspension, a time between the earning and the spending. Everything is still. Drift with me now over the rooftops. Let's go towards the market square, the forum. At this hour, the forum is empty. During the day, this is the loudest place in the city. It is a chaos of shouting auctioneers, arguing merchants, barking dogs, and political speeches. But now it is a vast, open space of silence. The moonlight paints the white marble columns in silver. The statues of old heroes stand rigid and silent, watching over nothing. The stalls of the money changers are empty. The wooden tables where they sit during the day are bare. Imagine the tables, planks of wood on trestles. During the day, these tables are covered in piles of denarii, silver, and ore gold. Foreigners come here to change their strange, exotic money into Roman coin. Travelers from the east with their drachmas. Traders from the north with their raw silver. But now there is no silver. There is no gold. There is only the texture of the wood in the moonlight, the grain of the timber, the knots in the pine. Dust has settled on the tables since the market closed, a fine gray layer of dust. If you were to run your finger across a table in the forum right now, you would leave a trail in the dust. It is that quiet. It is that undisturbed. The wind blows gently through the columns. Whoosh. It is a soft sound, not a storm, just a breeze. It carries the smell of the countryside into the city, the smell of damp earth, the smell of pine trees, the smell of sleeping livestock. In the corner of the forum there is a fountain. Water is the only thing that does not sleep. The water flows from a bronze spout, perhaps shaped like a lion's head. It falls into a stone basin. Splash, trickle, splash. The sound is continuous. It never changes. It never stops. It has been making that sound since the sun went down. It will make that sound until the sun comes up. Listen to the water, trickle, splash, flow. It is the sound of time passing without urgency. The water is free. You do not need a copper as to listen to the water. You do not need a silver denarius to watch the moonlight on the ripples. Let your mind rest on the surface of the water in the basin. It is dark, reflecting the stars. The stars are the same stars we see today, but for the Romans they were timekeepers. They were maps. They wheel slowly overhead, marking the passage of the night. The first watch of the night is ending. The city is settling deeper into sleep. We are going to move now, very slowly, away from the center of town. We are going to move towards the river that runs along the edge of the city. Rivers were the highways of the ancient world. This is where the goods arrive. This is where the money begins. But tonight the river is just a dark ribbon of silk. It moves silently between the banks. Tied to the docks are the barges, flat-bottomed boats. They are loaded with amphorae of wine, sacks of grain, blocks of marble. The boats bob gently in the current. Bump against the wooden pier. Bump. A gentle, rhythmic knocking, wood on wood. There are no sailors awake. They are sleeping on the decks, wrapped in cloaks. The cargo is covered with canvas to protect it from the dew. Underneath that canvas lies the economy of the empire. Grain from Egypt, wine from Campania, wool from Tarentum. All of it waiting, waiting to be sold, waiting to be bought, waiting for the copper coins to change hands, but not yet, not now. Now there is only the river, the cool air coming off the water, the mist rising slowly, curling around the ropes and the masts of the boats. The mist is white and ghostly. It softens the hard edges of the world. It blurs the line between the water and the land. You can feel the dampness in the air. It is refreshing. It is cool. It tells the body that it is time to rest. The heat of the day is gone completely. The frantic energy of commerce is gone. There is a guard walking slowly along the riverbank. He carries a spear, but he holds it loosely. There is no danger. He is just walking. His sandals crunch on the gravel path. Crunch, crunch, crunch. He stops. He looks at the moon. He yawns, a long, slow yawn. He rubs his face. He continues walking. Crunch, crunch. He is earning his pay right now. He is paid in stipendium, a soldier's salary. He will not see that money for months. It is held for him, but he walks anyway. He does his job. A simple job: walk, watch, wait, walk, watch, wait. The rhythm of his walking matches the rhythm of the river, matches the rhythm of your breathing. Slow, steady, unchanging. We leave the guard to his walking. We float back towards the houses. We are looking for a specific house, not a rich man's palace, not a poor man's hovel, just a regular house, a domus. We want to see how the money is spent on the inside, how the daily life is constructed within these walls. The walls are thick, stone and concrete. They block out the sound of the world. Inside, the air is still. We will enter a house in the next part of our journey. We will see the kitchen, the pantry, the storeroom. We will look at the jars of lentils and the hanging herbs. We will understand the cost of survival. But for now, stay in the street for one last moment. Feel the silence. The Roman city is a stone machine that has been turned off. It is cooling down. It is heavy and peaceful. The moon is higher now. The shadows are shorter. The night is fully here. Sleep is here. We leave the cool, damp air of the street behind. We step over the threshold of a wooden door. The wood is thick, bound with iron straps, and it closes behind us with a soft, heavy thud. The latch clicks into place. The world of the city is now shut out completely. Inside, the air is different. It is warmer here. It is still. The air holds the memory of the day's activities. It smells faintly of wood smoke, of rosemary, and of old stone. We are in the hallway, moving slowly toward the back of the house. The floor beneath our feet is made of packed earth, hard and smooth as concrete, or perhaps simple mosaic tiles in black and white. They feel cool. If you were walking barefoot here, the stone would sap the heat gently from your soles. We are moving towards the culina, the kitchen. In a Roman house, the kitchen is not a place of glamour. It is a small, functional room. It is often smoky. It is often dark. But tonight it is at rest. It is a room that has finished its work. A single clay lamp sits on a low shelf, casting a dim, flickering light. The light does not reach the ceiling. It stays low, hugging the floor and the lower walls. Let us sit here in the corner on a small wooden bench and observe the economy of the household. In the center of the room is the hearth, the focus. It is a raised masonry platform built of brick and tile. On top of it sits a metal brazier on 3 iron legs. Earlier today, this brazier was full of burning charcoal. It cooked the evening meal. It boiled water. It toasted bread. Now the fire is asleep. The charcoal has turned into mounds of gray ash. But if you look closely, deep in the center of the pile, there is still a faint, pulsing glow of orange. A tiny heartbeat of heat. It is dying slowly. The heat radiates from the bricks. You can feel it on your face if you lean in close. It is a dry, drowsy heat. This heat costs money. Fuel in the Roman world is precious. Wood must be brought from the forests. Charcoal must be burned in great pits by charcoal burners who live far away in the hills. Every glowing ember in that brazier represents a small fraction of a silver denarius. To let the fire go out is to save money. To keep it burning is a luxury. Tonight, the family lets it fade. They are saving their resources. Against the wall in the shadows stand the guardians of the kitchen, the amphorae. These are the large, two-handled clay jars that hold the liquids of life. They are tall, tapering at the bottom to a point. They lean against the wall or sit in wooden stands to keep them upright. They are the savings accounts of the pantry. Let's look at the one on the left. It is heavy. It is stained dark near the rim. It holds olive oil, oleum. We saw the man buy a small flask in part 1, but this is the household stock. Oil is everything. It is food. It is light for the lamps. It is soap for washing the body at the baths. To have a full jar of oil is to be safe. To have an empty jar is to be anxious. The surface of the jar is rough terracotta. It feels like sandpaper under your fingertips. It is cool to the touch. Inside, the oil is thick and golden green. It sits there in the darkness, heavy and silent. Imagine the weight of it. Gallons of liquid sun, pressed and stored, waiting to be used drop by drop. Next to the oil is another jar. This one smells different. The smell is sharp, salty, pungent. It is garum, fish sauce. This is the salt of Rome. It is made from fish, salt, and herbs, fermented in the sun for months until it becomes a clear, amber liquid. It sounds strange to us, perhaps. But to a Roman, this is the flavor of home. A few drops of this liquid can turn a bowl of plain porridge into a savory meal. The jar is sealed with a cork stopper, sealed further with wax to keep the smell inside. The wax is hard and brittle. This jar cost a lot of copper coins. Garum varies in price. The best kind, garum socerum, is expensive, made from mackerel. The cheap kind is made from leftovers. This family has the middle kind, good enough to taste good, cheap enough to use every day. It sits there, a salty treasure in a clay vessel. Let your eyes move to the wooden shelves above the jars. The shelves are made of cypress wood. Cypress repels insects. It has a faint, cedar-like scent that mixes with the smoke. On the shelves are sacks, burlap sacks, rough, scratchy. They are tied at the top with hemp rope. What is inside? The most boring, most important substance in the empire. Grain, fermentum, wheat, spelt, barley. This is what the ordinary Roman works for. This is what the soldier marches for. Bread and porridge, panis et pools. One of the sacks is slumped over slightly. It is half empty. It contains far emmer wheat, an ancient grain. It is hardy. It is tough to grind, but it makes a thick, hearty porridge that fills the stomach and stays with you for hours. Imagine the texture of the grain inside the sack. Thousands of small, hard kernels. If you were to plunge your hand into the sack, it would feel like smooth, cold gravel. The grains would shift and flow around your fingers like a dry fluid. S-H-H-H-H-H-H. The sound of grain shifting in a sack. A dry, rustling whisper. Buying this grain is a constant calculation. Do you buy it at the market day by day? Or do you save up and buy a large sack modius by modius? If you buy in bulk, it is cheaper, but you must have the money up front, and you must keep the mice away. There is a cat in the house, somewhere, perhaps sleeping in the atrium or curled up near the dying embers of the hearth. The cat is not a pet in the modern sense. It is an employee. Its job is to protect the sack of grain. It earns its keep by hunting the mice that want to steal the family's wealth. The cat costs nothing. It eats what it catches and perhaps a scrap of fish now and then. It is an efficient system. Next to the grain there is a smaller bag. It is made of finer linen. It holds lentils, lenticula, small, flat, lens-shaped discs. Lentils are the meat of the poor. They are cheap. They dry well. They last forever. You boil them with water. You add a drop of oil. You add a splash of vinegar. And you have dinner. The bag of lentils is bumpy to the touch. It sits quietly on the shelf. There is no urgency for the lentils. They will wait. They have been dried in the sun of the Mediterranean. All the moisture is gone. They are in a state of suspended animation, waiting for the water to bring them back to life. Let's look at the wall itself. Hanging from iron hooks are bunches of dried herbs. They hang upside down, tied with string. Oregano, mint, thyme, garlic. They are dry and brittle. Their colors have faded from bright green to a dusty olive gray. If you were to brush against them, they would crumble into powder. But they still hold their scent. The air around them smells like a dry hillside in summer. These herbs were not bought. They were gathered. Perhaps from a small garden patch in the courtyard, or perhaps gathered wild from the fields outside the city walls. This is free money. This is flavor that costs no copper. It is the wisdom of the household to gather when the sun is hot and dry for the winter when the days are short. A string of garlic bulbs hangs there too. The papery white skin of the garlic rustles in the slight draft. Crinkle, crinkle. The skins are delicate like parchment. Inside, the cloves are firm and pungent. Garlic is medicine. Garlic is strength. Roman soldiers chew it before a march. It hangs there, a silent cluster of white bulbs in the shadows. On the table in the center of the kitchen there is a bowl. It is made of red pottery, terra sigillata. It is glossy and smooth. Inside the bowl there are a few apples. They are small apples, not the giant, shiny ones we see today. These are small, greenish yellow with spots and imperfections. They are wrinkled slightly. They have been stored for a while, but they are sweet. The sweetness of an apple in winter is a rare treat. It is sunlight stored in fruit. Someone will eat an apple tomorrow. They will bite into it, crunch, the juice will be sticky. But for now the apples sit in the red bowl, round, still, silent. Let's think about the water. In the corner on the floor stands a large terracotta pitcher. It is covered with a wooden lid to keep out dust. The water inside was fetched earlier today from the neighborhood fountain, the one we heard in part 1. Fetching water is work. It is heavy. Water weighs 8 pounds per gallon. A full pitcher is a burden on the shoulder. Someone walked to the fountain, waited in line, filled the pitcher, walked back, step by step, carefully so as not to spill. Now the water is here. It is cool. It is resting. The surface of the water inside the pitcher is perfectly flat. It is waiting to be drunk or to wash a face or to boil the lentils. Water is free at the fountain, but it costs effort to bring it home. In this kitchen, water is respected. It is not wasted. The lamp on the shelf flickers again. The oil level is going down, slowly. The flame is consuming the fuel. The shadows in the room shift. The neck of the amphora seems to stretch on the wall. The bunch of dried thyme looks like a hanging cloud. The silence here is deep. It is not the silence of an empty place. It is the silence of a pause. The kitchen is waiting for morning. It is waiting for the spark of the flint, the lighting of the charcoal, the boiling of the water, but that is hours away. For now, there is only the slow cooling of the bricks, the slow settling of the dust. Listen closely. Can you hear the wood of the shelves settling? Tick, a tiny sound, wood expanding or contracting with the temperature. Tick, then silence again. There is a small window in the kitchen. It is high up on the wall. It has no glass. Glass is too expensive for a window like this. It has a wooden grate and a shutter. The shutter is closed, but a thin beam of moonlight manages to slice through a crack. It falls on the floor, a single pale line of light. It illuminates a few grains of wheat that fell when the sack was last opened. 3 tiny grains of wheat lying on the dark floor. They glow faintly in the moonlight. Lost wealth. Too small to sweep up. Too small to worry about. They will lie there until the broom comes tomorrow. The broom is in the corner, made of twigs tied to a branch. It looks like a bundle of shadows. It is a tool of order. Roman life is about order. Order in the legions. Order in the law. Order in the kitchen. Everything has its place. The jar, the sack, the bowl, the broom. If you lived here, you would know this room in the dark. You would know that the 3rd tile from the door is slightly loose. You would know that the table has a rough spot on the left corner. You would know the smell of the rosemary hanging above your head. It is a comforting familiarity, a boring, safe familiarity. There is no surprise here. The lentils will always be lentils. The oil will always be oil. The copper coins earned in the shop will be traded for more grain when the sack gets low. The cycle continues. Earn, buy, store, cook, eat. Earn, buy, store, cook, eat. It is a wheel that turns slowly. It does not spin fast. It grinds along day after day, year after year. It is the rhythm that built an empire, not the battles but the breakfast, not the swords but the sacks of grain. Feel the calmness of the stored food. There is enough for tomorrow. There is enough for the day after. The anxiety of hunger is held at bay by the heavy jars and the rough sacks. You can sleep because the pantry is not empty. The family is safe for another night. The embers in the brazier are almost gray now. The orange glow is barely visible. The heat is fading. The room is cooling down to match the night air. The smell of the herbs seems to get stronger as the air gets cooler. Oregano, thyme, earth, peace. We will leave the kitchen now. We will not open the door to the street. We will stay inside the house. We will move deeper into the quiet sanctuary of the home. We will move towards the sleeping quarters, the cubiculum, but we will move slowly. There is no rush. The night is long. As we turn away from the kitchen, look back one last time at the jars. The silent sentinels of the night, guarding the oil, guarding the wine, guarding the grain. They stand tall, they stand still. They will be there when the sun rises, heavy, real, grounded. We step into the corridor. The light from the kitchen lamp fades behind us. We are moving into the shadows, moving towards rest, moving towards the soft wool blankets and the straw mattresses, where the dreams are simple and the sleep is deep. We are moving away from the kitchen now. The faint warmth of the dying embers is left behind. The smell of herbs and oil fades. We are entering the deepest, quietest part of the house. The corridor is narrow. The walls are close. If you reach out your hand in the darkness, your fingertips brush against the rough plaster. It is cool and slightly damp. The air here is still. It does not move. It has been waiting here all day for the night to arrive. There is no light here. You are navigating by memory, by the feel of the floor beneath your feet. Step, step, step. You know exactly how many steps it is to the doorway of the sleeping room. This room is called the cubiculum. It is not a large room. In an ordinary Roman house, space is precious. The sleeping room is functional. It is designed for one purpose only: rest. We cross the threshold. The room is small, almost like a cell. It feels safe because it is small. It feels enclosed. The walls are thick, built of stone and rubble covered in plaster. They hold the silence in. They keep the noise of the city out. There is a tiny window high up near the ceiling. It is sealed tight with a wooden shutter. No moonlight gets in here. No draft gets in. The darkness is absolute. It is a heavy, velvety darkness. You cannot see your own hand in front of your face. But you do not need to see. You know this room. You know the smell of it. It smells of old wool. It smells of dried lavender, which is placed in chests to keep the moths away from the clothes. It smells faintly of human sleep, a warm, enclosed scent. In the center of the room, dominating the space, is the bed, the lectus. Let us examine this bed in the dark. Let our minds touch it. It is not a soft, sinking bed like modern ones. It is a piece of furniture built for endurance. The frame is made of wood, oak perhaps, or sturdy pine. The wood is dark and smooth, polished by years of use. The legs are thick and solid, resting firmly on the stone floor. If you were to run your hand along the frame, you would feel the joinery, where the pieces of timber are fitted together with mortise and tenon joints. No nails, just wood locked into wood, strong, unmoving. Stretched across this wooden frame is a network of support, not springs, but ropes, thick ropes made of hemp, woven tightly across the frame in a grid, or perhaps wide straps of leather, cured and tough. These ropes provide the suspension. They have a little give, a tiny amount of bounce, but mostly they are firm. On top of these ropes rests the mattress. It is a large sack made of heavy linen canvas. And what is inside? Straw, clean, dry wheat straw. Or if the family has had a good year, perhaps wool flocking, or even dried reeds from the riverbank. But for most ordinary people, it is straw. The mattress is thick, it is lumpy, it rustles when you touch it, crinkle, rustle, shhhhh. It is the sound of dry fields. Every time you move in bed, the straw adjusts beneath you. It whispers. Let us think about the cost of this bed. The wood for the frame had to be bought from a timber merchant. The ropes had to be twisted by a rope maker. The linen for the mattress had to be woven on a loom. Even sleep costs money. Even resting requires an investment of copper coins. But once bought, a bed like this lasts a lifetime. It is permanent capital. The man we saw earlier, the one counting his coins in the shop, he is here now. He has navigated the dark corridor. He stands by the bed. The process of undressing is slow. There is no rush. He unties the leather belt around his waist. The pouch of coins is heavy. He places it carefully in a wooden chest at the foot of the bed. Clunk. The chest is locked. Security. He pulls the wool tunic over his head. The rough fabric slides against his skin. He folds it in the dark. He knows how to fold it by feel. He places it on top of the chest. The air of the room feels cool on his skin now that the tunic is off. He is ready for the bed. He sits on the edge. The wooden frame creaks slightly under his weight. Creak. A dry wooden sound. He swings his legs up. He lies back. The straw mattress rustles loudly for a moment as it accepts his body. It shifts and settles, conforming to his shape. It is not soft, but it is supportive. It holds him up. Now the coverings, wool, heavy, dense wool, blankets woven tightly to trap heat. They are heavy. When you pull them up over yourself, you feel the weight instantly. It presses down on you. It is a comforting weight. It feels like security. The wool is slightly scratchy. It is not silk. It is untreated, natural wool, perhaps still smelling slightly of the sheep it came from, and the lanolin oil that makes it waterproof. He pulls the blanket up to his chin. The warmth begins to build almost immediately. The body's heat is trapped by the dense fibers of the blanket. His head rests on a pillow. It is not fluffy. It is a smaller linen sack, stuffed perhaps with softer hay or maybe rolled up old clothes. It is firm. It supports the neck. He lies there on his back. His eyes are open, staring up into the absolute blackness. There is nothing to see. The visual world has ended for the day. There is only sensation and sound. The sensation of the heavy wool pressing down. The sensation of the straw poking slightly through the linen mattress cover. The sensation of tiredness leaving the muscles of the legs and the back. The slow unwinding of the body. And the sounds. The room is incredibly quiet. You can hear the man breathing. Inhale, slow and deep. Exhale, slow and quiet. The breath whispers through his nose. If you listen very closely, you might hear the very faint sound of the city outside the thick walls. Maybe, far away, a dog barks once, rough, and then is silent. Maybe the wind picks up and brushes against the stone walls of the house. A low friction sound. These outside sounds are muffled. They feel very distant. They only serve to emphasize how quiet it is inside the cubiculum. You are safe inside the stone box. The transactions of the day are over. You do not need to calculate anything now. You do not need to speak to anyone. You do not need to lift anything heavy. The mind begins to slow down, matching the body. The thoughts that were racing around, about the price of oil, about the customer who argued about a coin, about the leak in the roof that needs fixing, they begin to dissolve. They lose their sharp edges. They become fuzzy. It does not matter now. Nothing matters until the sun comes up. You can let go of the day. You can sink into the straw. Feel the stillness of the air in the room. It is heavy and warm. It does not move. It is a blanket of air on top of the blanket of wool. There is no clock ticking in a Roman room. Time is not measured here in seconds or minutes. It is measured in watches of the night. Long, slow stretches of darkness. The first watch is over. The second watch is beginning. Deep night. The city is paralyzed by sleep. Imagine the millions of people across the empire, all lying in similar rooms, on similar straw mattresses, under similar wool blankets. Soldiers in barracks in rainy Britannia. Merchants in high-rise Insuli apartments in Rome itself. Farmers in stone cottages in North Africa. All suspended in the same quiet darkness. All supported by the same basic economy of wool and grain. It is a shared silence, a vast empire-wide pause. The man in the bed shifts slightly. Rustle, creak. He finds a more comfortable position. He sighs. A sound of final release for the day. His breathing becomes deeper, more rhythmic. He is drifting away from the world of copper coins. He is drifting towards the world of sleep. You do not need to pay attention to him anymore. He is fine. He is safe. He is warm. He is just an ordinary man in an ordinary bed 2,000 years ago. You can leave him there in the dark. You can let your own mind drift. Let the darkness of that Roman room become the darkness of your own room. Let the quiet of that distant time become the quiet of now. The heavy wool, the rustling straw, the thick stone walls, the silence. We will stay here for a while, just resting in the dark. There is nowhere else to go. The air is still, the breath is slow, the night is long. Rest here in the quiet chamber. We leave the sleeping man. We float away from the warm, heavy air of the cubiculum through the dark hallway and slip back through the cracks of the wooden shutters. We are outside again. The night has deepened. The moon has moved across the sky. It is now high and small, a cold silver disk looking down on the Roman world. The air in the street has changed. The warmth of the day is completely gone, replaced by a crisp, damp chill. This is the temperature of stone when the sun has forgotten it. The street is a canyon of silence. On either side, the walls of the insulae, the apartment blocks, rise up into the darkness. They are 3, sometimes 4 stories high. They are silent cliffs of brick and plaster. There are no lights in the windows. Everyone is asleep. The city is a dormant creature. Let your gaze fall to the ground. Look at the road, the via. It is not just dirt. It is not just a path. It is a monument to order. The paving stones are polygonal, many-sided shapes of black volcanic basalt or gray limestone. They are fitted together like a giant, heavy puzzle. There is no mortar between them. They hold together by their own weight and the precision of the cut. Think about the stillness of these stones. They do not move. They do not breathe. They have been here for 50 years. They will be here for 500 more. Rain falls on them. Sun beats on them. Sandals walk on them. Wheels roll over them. But tonight they are simply resting. They are cool and hard. If you were to lie down on them, they would feel solid, like the earth itself solidified. Far down the street there is a movement, a small bobbing point of light. It is yellow and weak. It swings back and forth. Swish, swish. It is the night watch. The vigils. He is not a hero. He is not a general. He is a man with a job to do, and that job is to walk when others sleep. He moves slowly. There is no emergency. There is no fire to fight tonight. There is no thief to chase. There is only the patrol. He wears a heavy cloak called a pinula. It is made of thick, felted wool. It is dark, perhaps brown or gray, designed to shed the rain and keep out the wind. It has a hood which he has pulled up over his head. Inside the hood, his world is warm and private. Outside the hood, the world is cold and vast. Listen to his feet. He wears caligy, the heavy military sandals. The soles are thick leather. Embedded in the leather are iron hobnails, studs of metal. When he steps on the stone road, it makes a distinctive sound. Clack, clack, clack. It is a sharp, rhythmic sound. It echoes slightly off the walls of the buildings. In the silence of the night, it sounds louder than it is. Clack, clack. He stops. The sound stops. Silence rushes back in to fill the space. He adjusts his grip on the lantern. Let us look at this lantern. It is a masterpiece of simple utility. It is made of bronze, tarnished by smoke and age. It does not have glass windows. Glass is too rare, too fragile for a patrol. Instead, the sides are made of scraped horn, thin, translucent sheets of animal horn. The horn glows with a milky, yellowish light from the oil flame inside. It softens the light. It makes the world look hazy. The watchman lifts the lantern. He shines it into a dark doorway. Nothing, just shadows. Just a stray cat that looks up with glowing green eyes, then turns and slips away silently. The watchman lowers the lantern. He sighs. A puff of white mist appears in the cold air before his face, then vanishes. He is tired. His legs are heavy. He is thinking about his own bed, about the straw mattress we saw earlier. But his shift is not over. He must walk to the gate and back, to the gate and back. He starts walking again. Clack, clack, clack. Let us drift down beneath the street for a moment. Let us appreciate the boring, beautiful engineering under his sandals. He is walking on the summa crusta, the top crust. But beneath that, unseen and unappreciated, are the layers that hold the empire up. Below the paving stones is the nucleus, a layer of fine gravel and sand packed hard. It provides a smooth bed for the stones. Below that is the rudus, concrete made of broken brick and pottery shards mixed with lime. It is waterproof. It is solid. And below that, the statumen, the foundation. Large, fist-sized stones hand-placed by soldiers or slaves generations ago. And below that, the earth. 4 layers, deep, structured, permanent. The watchman walks on top of this history. He trusts it. He does not need to think about it. The road carries him. He reaches a street corner. There is a small shrine here, a lararium. It is a niche in the wall painted with faded colors. It honors the spirits of the crossroads. Someone has left a small offering earlier in the day. A few flowers. They are wilted now, drooping in the cold. The watchman nods at the shrine. A habit. A tiny gesture of respect. He does not stop. The city is full of these small, silent interactions. The man and the road. The man and the shrine. The man and the dark. He passes a public fountain, the same one we heard earlier. No, this is another one. Rome is a city of water. This trough is long and rectangular, made of stone. The water here is calm. A thin sheet of ice has just begun to form at the very edges of the trough. The temperature is dropping. Winter is whispering to the city. The watchman pauses to warm his hands. He holds them near the top of the lantern. The heat from the oil flame rises through the bronze vents. It is a small comfort. He rubs his hands together. The skin is rough, weathered by the wind. Leather rubs against leather. Warmth returns to his fingers. He looks up at the sky. He navigates by the stars just like a sailor. He sees the Great Bear, Ursa Major. He knows that the night is half over. He has earned half his pay. The concept of his pay is interesting. He receives stipendium. From this, the cost of his food and his equipment is deducted. Whatever is left, he keeps. It is a slow way to make a living, but it is steady. The empire always pays, eventually. He starts moving again. We follow him from a distance. We are floating above the street level, watching his small pool of light move through the vast darkness. It looks like a lonely firefly in a stone canyon. He approaches the edge of the city. The buildings become lower here, less dense. There are gardens between the houses. You can smell the earth more strongly here. The smell of damp soil and composting leaves. The smell of the countryside encroaching on the town. Ahead lies the city gate. It is a massive archway of stone. The heavy wooden doors are shut. They are barred from the inside with a thick timber beam. The gates are locked at sunset. No one comes in. No one goes out. The city is a fortress at night. The watchman walks up to the gate. He checks the lock. He checks the bar. It is solid. He leans against the cold stone of the archway for a moment. This is the turnaround point. Here the city ends. Beyond these wooden doors lies the orbis terrarum, the rest of the world. Roads that lead to Gaul, roads that lead to Asia. But for tonight, the world stops at this plank of wood. He turns around. He faces back towards the center of the town. The long, straight road stretches out before him, disappearing into the shadows. He has to walk it all again. Back to the forum, back to the station. There is a rhythm to this patrol that is hypnotic. Out and back, like the tide, like the breath. He adjusts his cloak again. The wool is heavy on his shoulders. He takes the first step of the return journey. Clack. The sound rings out. We will not follow him all the way back. We will let him walk into the darkness. His lantern gets smaller and smaller. The sound of his sandals gets fainter. Clack, clack, clack. Silence. He is gone. The street is empty again. There is only the stone, the moonlight, the silence. Let us stay here by the gate for a moment. The wood of the gate is old oak. It is gray and weathered. If you touch it, it feels like iron. It has absorbed the rain and the sun for 100 years. It stands guard without complaint. There is a sense of absolute security here. The walls are high. The gates are barred. The watchman is walking. Nothing can happen. The city is held in a protective hand. The wind shifts slightly. It rustles the dry leaves in a nearby gutter. Scritch, scritch. A dry whispering sound, then it stops. The stillness is heavy. It presses down on you gently. It tells you that there is nothing to do. No work can be done in this dark. No travel can be done. There is only waiting, waiting for the dawn, but the dawn is hours away. There is miles of time before the sun. Relax into that time. Feel the duration of the night. It is a vast, empty space where you can rest. The road is straight, the stone is hard, the gate is shut, all is well. We are going to move again, very slowly. We are going to drift away from the hard stone of the streets. We are going to find a place that is softer, a place where the work is different. We will move towards the edge of the city to a place where the animals are kept, where the breathing is louder, where the warmth is living. But for now, take one last look at the empty Roman street. Perfect perspective lines converging in the dark. A masterpiece of boredom, a masterpiece of peace. The air changes instantly as we pass through the wide stable doors. Outside, the night is sharp, cold, and smells of wet stone and frost. Inside, the air is thick. It is heavy. It is incredibly warm. It is a living warmth. The heat does not come from a fire or a brazier. It comes from the bodies of large animals. It is a humid biological heat that wraps around you like a heavy blanket the moment you enter. The smell is powerful, but it is not unpleasant. It is an earthy smell. It smells of dry straw, of crushed oats, of old leather harnesses hanging on the walls, of manure that has been shoveled away, leaving only a faint ammonia trace in the wood, and above all, the sweet, milky scent of cow's breath. Let your eyes adjust. It is darker here than in the street. The moonlight cannot get in. There is no lamp burning. Oil is too expensive to waste on animals who do not need light to sleep. We must feel our way into the room. The floor is different here. It is not paved with hard stone. It is packed earth covered in a deep, soft layer of straw. Rustle, crunch, rustle. Every step is cushioned. The sound is absorbed by the floor. We are standing in the central aisle of the stable. On either side are the stalls, wooden partitions made of rough-hewn planks. The wood is polished smooth at shoulder height, where the animals have rubbed against it for years. In the first stall there is an ox. Let us stop here. The ox is the tractor of the Roman world. It is the engine of the economy. Without the ox, the fields are not plowed. Without the ox, the grain does not get to the city. Without the ox, the heavy stones for the temples are not moved. This animal is massive. In the dark, it looks like a hill of warm shadow. It is lying down. Its legs are tucked underneath its body. It is resting, but it is not asleep in the way a human sleeps. It is chewing the cud. Listen to the sound. It is one of the most hypnotic sounds in history. Grind, crunch, swallow, pause, slide, grind, crunch. The jaw moves in a slow, circular rhythm, side to side. It is a slow, methodical processing of energy. Earlier today, this ox ate grass and hay. Now, in the quiet of the night, it is extracting the value from that food. It is turning grass into strength. The ox breathes out, hoo-hoo, a long, deep exhalation through wide nostrils. If we had a light, you would see the steam rising from its nose, drifting up into the rafters. The breath is warm. It creates a small microclimate of heat right in front of its face. Reach out in your imagination and touch the flank of the ox. The hair is short and coarse. It feels oily and dusty. Beneath the hair, the skin is thick, leather in the making, and beneath the skin, the muscle is hard. Even at rest, the animal feels solid. It is a living investment. To buy an ox costs hundreds of denarii. A farmer saves for years to buy a good pair. If the ox gets sick, the family enters a crisis. If the ox is healthy, the family eats. This giant, breathing creature is their bank account. The ox shifts its weight. Thump. The straw crunches loudly. The wood of the stall groans as the animal leans against it. Then stillness returns. Only the chewing continues. Grind. Slide. Grind. Move to the next stall. Here stands a donkey, Asinus. The donkey is smaller, sharper. It is standing up, sleeping on its feet. Its long ears are twitching, swiveling independently, listening to the darkness. Flick, flick. The donkey is the delivery truck of the empire. It carries the amphory of wine. It carries the baskets of figs. It carries the sacks of charcoal. Its back is strong. Its legs are sure-footed. It is a creature of patience. The donkey smells different, dustier, a drier scent. It rests its head on the wooden rail of the stall. Its eyes are half closed. It lets out a sigh, a short, fluttering breath through its lips. PFFFFT. Hanging on a peg next to the donkey is its tack, the harness, the pannier's baskets. The leather is old and cracked. It has been mended many times with strips of rawhide. The buckles are made of bronze, green with age. This equipment represents hours of labor. The straps have rubbed the hair off the donkey's shoulders in places. Hard work leaves its mark. Let us look at the hay in the manger. The manger is a wooden trough attached to the wall. It is filled with dried grass. Let's look at a single stalk of hay. It is yellow and brittle. It was cut months ago, perhaps in June or July, under a blazing Italian sun. A farmer swung a scythe. Swish, swish. The grass fell, it dried, it was raked, it was stacked, it was carted here. All that sunlight, all that summer heat is trapped in this dry, yellow stalk. Now, in the middle of winter, the animals eat the summer. This is the economy of energy. Nothing is wasted. The donkey nudges the hay with its soft, velvet nose. Rustle. It searches for the sweetest blades. Up in the rafters above the animals is the hay loft. It is a platform of wooden planks. It is piled high with more straw. And there, sleeping in the straw, is a boy, the stable hand. He is not a citizen. He probably has no name that history will remember. He is likely a slave or the son of a very poor freedman. He does not have a room. He does not have a bed frame. He burrows into the hay for warmth. He borrows the heat of the animals rising from below. He is asleep, deeply asleep. His breathing is light and shallow compared to the deep, heavy heaving of the ox. He smells of the stable. He is part of this ecosystem. His job is to shovel the manure, to carry the water buckets, to groom the coats. He earns his keep by existing here, by waking up before the sun to feed the beasts. For now, he is dreaming. Perhaps he dreams of a hot meal, or a pair of new boots without holes, or perhaps he dreams of nothing at all, just the warm, golden darkness of the hay. The stable is a very peaceful place. There is no judgment here. The animals do not care about the emperor. They do not care about the wars on the frontier. They only care about the hay and the water and the rest. There is a simplicity here that is comforting. The needs are simple. The needs are met. Listen to the ambient sound of the room again. It is a symphony of small noises. The crunch of the cud, the swish of a tail hitting a flank to chase away a fly that isn't there, the creak of timber settling, the huff of breath, the rustle of the boy turning over in the loft. It is a crowded room, yet it feels empty of stress. It feels timeless. If you went into a stable today or 1,000 years ago, it would feel exactly the same. The smell of hay is the same. The warmth of a cow is the same. There is a bucket of water in the corner. The surface of the water ripples slightly every time the ox shifts its weight. Tiny concentric circles spreading out in the dark. The water is slowly evaporating into the dry air, adding to the humidity. Let's focus on the wooden beam above your head. It is a massive trunk of oak, roughly squared off with an adze. You can see the chop marks in the wood. It is black with age and smoke. Spider webs drape from the corners. Dust hangs in the webs. The dust is made of soil and skin and dried manure. It is the dust of life. The air is so thick you can almost taste it. It tastes like oats. It tastes like safety. Outside, the wind might be blowing. It might be whistling around the eaves of the roof. Woo-woo. But inside, the air is still. The walls are insulated by the stacks of hay. The cold cannot touch you here. Let yourself sink into the feeling of the stable. Imagine you are sitting on a bale of straw in the corner. The straw is prickly against your legs, but it is soft underneath. You lean back against the wooden wall. You close your eyes. You listen to the ox. Grind, grind. It is a slow, rhythmic metronome. It slows your heart rate down. You breathe in time with the great beast. In and out, in and out. This is where the money is made. Not in the market, but here. In the health of the animals. In the preservation of their strength for tomorrow. Every hour of rest adds value to the beast. Every hour of sleep prepares the muscles for the plow. Sleep is productive. Rest is work. You can feel the weight of the night pressing on the roof, but the beams hold it up. The structure is sound. The animals are fed. The door is latched. There is nothing to do here. You cannot write in the dark. You cannot sew. You cannot count coins. You can only be. You can only exist, warm and safe, alongside the silent, heavy creatures. The donkey lowers its head again. Its ears droop slightly. It enters a deeper state of rest. The chewing of the ox stops for a moment. It swallows. Silence. Absolute, warm silence. Then slowly the chewing begins again. Grind, grind. The cycle continues. The night continues. We will stay here for a long time, just listening, just feeling the warmth. The darkness is brown and gold in your mind. Soft edges, warm breath. The stable hand sighs in his sleep. The mouse scuttles deep within the wall, a tiny scratchy sound. The ox blinks its large, liquid eye in the dark. The world is asleep, and so are we. We leave the warmth of the stable behind. We leave the heavy smell of the cattle and the enclosed air of the barn. We drift upwards through the roof tiles and out into the vast, open night. We are leaving the city. The stone walls of the town recede behind us, becoming a dark, jagged line against the horizon. The noise of human life, even the silence of human sleep, is gone. Here the world is older. Here the world is made of earth, not brick. We are floating over the Roman countryside. The Campagna, the ground below, is uneven. It rolls gently like the swell of a calm sea frozen in soil. The air here is cleaner, it is thinner. It is sharp and cold. It smells of wet grass. It smells of frost forming on leaves. It smells of deep, rich loam. In the moonlight, the fields look silver. The grass is coated in a fine layer of dew. The moon reflects off millions of tiny water droplets. It is a landscape of silence and silver. We approach a grove of trees. They are olive trees, Olea europea. These are not young trees, they are ancient. Their trunks are gnarled and twisted, looking like thick braided ropes of wood. The bark is gray and rough. It is full of holes and knots. In the dark, the trees look like old men standing in a circle, frozen in conversation. The leaves of the olive tree are small and narrow. They are green on top but silver underneath. A slight breeze moves through the grove. Shh. The leaves flip over. Silver, green, silver, green. It looks like a ripple of water moving through the air. The sound is a dry whisper. It is the sound of the Mediterranean night. Underneath the trees, the ground is rocky. This is not easy land. It is hard land, but it is productive. The olives growing on these branches are small, hard, and bitter. They are not ready yet. They are waiting. They are slowly gathering oil from the sun and the soil. Every day, a tiny bit more oil is stored in the fruit. It is a slow accumulation of wealth, a bank account that grows by the drop. Moving past the olive grove, we find a clearing on the side of a low hill. Here, there is life, but it is quiet life. A flock of sheep. There are perhaps 50 of them. In the darkness, they look like gray boulders scattered across the grass. They are the Ovis aries, the Roman wool sheep. Their coats are thick and heavy. The wool has been growing since the last shearing in the spring. It is dense. It is greasy with lanolin. It sheds the water. It keeps the heat in. Most of the sheep are sleeping. They lie on their stomachs, legs tucked under them. They crowd together for warmth, a huddle of living wool. If you were to put your hand into that huddle, it would be incredibly warm. A few are awake. They are grazing. Listen to the sound of grazing in the quiet night. Rip, crunch, chew, rip, crunch, chew. It is a tearing sound. The sheep grabs a mouthful of grass, tears it with a jerk of the head, and then grinds it down. The sheep do not look up. They do not look at the moon. They are focused entirely on the ground. For them, the world is grass. The economy of the sheep is simple. Eat grass, grow wool. Eat grass, make milk. Watching over them is a figure, the shepherd, the pastor. He is sitting on a large, flat rock near the edge of the flock. He is a silhouette against the starry sky. He does not move. He is as still as the olive trees. He is wrapped in a heavy cloak called a bardicuculus. It is a hooded cape made of coarse, felted wool. It is likely brown or gray, the color of the earth. The wool is so thick it is almost waterproof. He has pulled the hood up. His face is in shadow. He holds a staff, a long, straight piece of ash wood. The wood is polished smooth by his hands. He leans on it slightly. It takes the weight off his back. This staff is his weapon, his walking stick, and his badge of office. With it he guides the sheep. With it he pushes aside briars. He is not lonely. Loneliness implies a desire for company. He is simply solitary. He is used to the silence. He prefers the company of the sky to the noise of the market. At his feet a small fire burns. It is not a roaring bonfire. It is a small, carefully constructed fire. Fuel is scarce here. He cannot waste wood. He burns dry twigs, pine cones, and perhaps dried animal dung. The fire burns low and hot. Look at the flames. Orange, yellow, blue at the base, they dance and flicker. The light from the fire illuminates his boots. They are made of rawhide laced up the calf. They are worn and scuffed. The leather is warm from the fire. He reaches into a leather bag at his side. He pulls out a piece of bread. It is hard bread, day old. Maybe 2 days old. He breaks off a piece. Snap. It is dry. He puts it in his mouth. He chews slowly. He softens the bread with saliva. It tastes of wheat and a little bit of wood smoke. He takes a flask, a leather wineskin, and takes a sip. It is water mixed with a little vinegar. Pasca. It is the drink of soldiers and shepherds. It is refreshing. It cuts the thirst. He swallows. He puts the flask away. Next to the shepherd lies a dog, a Molossian. This is not a pet. This is a guardian. It is a large, heavy-boned dog with a broad head and cropped ears. It looks like a statue of a dog carved from dark stone. It is lying by the fire, but its eyes are open. They reflect the firelight. 2 tiny orange dots. The dog is listening. It listens for the snap of a twig that might mean a wolf. It listens for the footstep of a thief. But tonight there are no wolves. There are no thieves. There is only the wind. The dog rests its head on its paws. It lets out a long breath. Woof. Its tail thumps the ground once. Thump. Then it is still again. The relationship between the shepherd and the dog is a business partnership. The shepherd provides food. The dog provides security. They understand each other without words. They sit together in a bubble of warmth created by the fire, surrounded by miles of cold darkness. Long pause. Let us look up. Above the shepherd, above the olive trees, is the sky, the Roman sky. There is no light pollution here, no city glow. The stars are incredibly bright. They look like diamond dust spilled on black velvet. They are sharp and clear. You can see the Milky Way, the Via Lactea. It looks like a cloudy river of light flowing across the heavens. The Romans believed it was milk spilled from the breast of a goddess. To the shepherd, it is just the roof of his house. He knows the stars. They are his clock. He watches the Great Bear, Ursa Major, rotating slowly around the pole star. It moves imperceptibly. You cannot see it move if you stare at it, but if you look away for an hour and look back, it has shifted. It marks the passing of the night. The shepherd knows that when the 7 oxen, the Roman name for the Big Dipper, reach the top of the olive tree on the ridge, it will be midnight. They are not there yet. Time is moving slowly. There is a shooting star. A streak of white light slashes across the dark, lasting only a second. The shepherd sees it. He does not react. It is just a piece of the sky falling. It brings no luck, good or bad. It is just nature. The wind picks up slightly. It rustles the dry grass on the hillside. Swish, swish, swish. It sounds like the sea. It is a cold wind coming from the mountains in the north. The shepherd pulls his cloak tighter. He tucks his hands inside the wool. He is a self-contained unit of warmth. Let us think about the wool he is wearing. It came from sheep just like these, maybe from this very flock 3 years ago. The wool was sheared, it was washed in the stream, it was carded to align the fibers, it was spun into thread by a woman in the village, it was woven on a loom, it was felted, beaten in hot water to make it thick and windproof. Now it protects him. The sheep protect the man who protects the sheep. It is a perfect circle, a closed loop of survival. The fire pops, crack. A spark flies up, swirls in the heat, and dies in the cold air. One spark, gone. The shepherd reaches out and adds a small branch to the fire. It is a branch of rosemary wood. It catches fire quickly. The dried leaves crackle. The smoke rises. It smells sweet and piney. The smell of burning rosemary mixes with the smell of the sheep. This is the incense of the countryside. The sheep nearest to the fire shifts. It stands up, it stretches, it looks at the fire. Its eyes are rectangular pupils, strange horizontal bars. It blinks. It turns around 3 times, trampling the grass, and lies back down. It has found a better spot. It sighs. The shepherd closes his eyes for a moment. He is not asleep. He is resting his eyes. He listens to the flock. He knows the sound of a contented flock. It is a low, soft rumble of breathing and chewing. If the flock were anxious, there would be bleating. There would be stamping feet, but there is silence. The silence tells him everything is well. This is his job, to listen to the silence. It is a boring job. It requires hours of doing absolutely nothing. But it is an essential job. Rome needs wool for its togas. Rome needs mutton for its stew. Rome needs cheese for its lunch. This man, sitting on a rock in the dark, is the foundation of the textile industry. He is the beginning of the supply chain. But he doesn't think about supply chains. He thinks about the cold. He thinks about the dawn. He thinks about the stone in his boot. He leans forward and adjusts his sandal. He takes off the boot. He shakes it upside down. A tiny pebble falls out. Tick. It hits the rock. He puts the boot back on. He ties the laces. Slowly, carefully. Leather thongs wrapping around the ankle. The relief is instant. He settles back onto the rock. The night stretches out before him. There are no deadlines here. There is no rush to be anywhere else. The sheep are here, so he is here. The moon is slowly sinking towards the horizon. The shadows of the olive trees are stretching longer and longer. They look like long, dark fingers reaching across the grass. The light is changing, very slowly, from the bright silver of high moon to the softer, grayer light of the setting moon. Far in the distance, miles away, an owl hoots. Hoo, hoo. It is a lonely, haunting sound. The dog raises one ear. It identifies the sound, not a threat. The ear goes back down. The shepherd stares into the embers of the fire. They are glowing deep red, pulsating. He watches the patterns in the heat. It is the only television he has. The shifting shapes of the coals, a mountain, a face, a tower. Then they collapse into ash, gray, soft ash. The cold is deepening. This is the coldest part of the night, the time before the moon sets and the sun thinks about rising. The frost is getting thicker on the grass. If you touched the grass now, your fingers would come away wet and freezing. Ice crystals are forming on the edges of the olive leaves. Nature is locking down for the night. But the shepherd is warm. The wool holds him. The fire warms his shins. The dog warms his side. He is enduring. He is waiting. We will float here for a while, suspended in the cold, clear air, watching the man watch the sheep. There is peace in this solitude. There is clarity in the emptiness. No voices, no carts, no coins, just the earth, the sky, and the wool. The stars rotate a fraction of a degree. The sheep chew. The fire glows. The world turns. We leave the open fields and the solitary shepherd. We drift back towards the city walls, passing over the sleeping streets we have already seen. We are heading towards the largest structure in the district, the public baths, the thermae. During the day, this is the heart of Roman social life. It is a place of noise, splashing water, shouting masseurs, oil sellers, and political gossip. Thousands of naked bodies moving through steam and water. But now it is a cathedral of silence. It is a cavern of stone and water, abandoned by humans for the night. We float through a high arched window near the ceiling. The shutters are open to let the steam escape, though there is no steam now. We descend into the great hall. The air here feels different from the outside. It is humid. Even though the fires are low, the massive stone walls have absorbed the heat of the day and are slowly releasing it back into the darkness. It smells of wet marble, mineral water, and olive oil soap. We land softly on the floor of the frigidarium, the cold water hall. The floor is a masterpiece of mosaic. Millions of tiny square stones, tesserae, black and white. They form patterns of dolphins, tritons, and waves. In the dark, you cannot see the whole picture. You can only feel the texture underfoot. The stones are smooth, cool, and damp. If you walk here, your footsteps make a wet, slapping sound. Slap, slap, slap. The sound echoes up into the vaulted ceiling. It bounces off the walls. It takes a long time to die away. In the center of the room is the pool, the cold pool. It is a vast rectangle of water lined with blue marble. Let us look at the water. It is perfectly still. There is not a single ripple on the surface. It looks like a sheet of black glass laid over the floor. It reflects the high, arched ceiling above. It reflects the shadows of the columns. The water is heavy. It is deep. It waits in the dark. If you were to touch the surface with your finger, you would feel a shock of cold. The water is piped in from the aqueducts coming from the mountains. It carries the chill of the high peaks. But tonight, no one touches it. It sits there, holding its own weight, pressing against the marble sides of the pool. Drop a pebble in your mind into the center of the pool. Plop. Imagine the ripples spreading out. Circular waves moving slowly towards the edges. They hit the side. Lap. They bounce back. They crisscross. And then the water becomes glass again. The stillness returns. Around the pool are statues. Marble statues of gods and heroes. Hercules, Venus, Apollo. They stand in niches along the walls. In the moonlight that filters from the high windows, they look pale and ghostly. They are the only occupants of the bathhouse tonight. They watch the empty water with blank stone eyes. They do not blink. They do not breathe. They are frozen in eternal poses of grace and strength. We move away from the cold room. We walk through a high archway. We enter the tepidarium, the warm room. The air gets warmer here. This is the transition zone. There is no water here, just warm air. The benches are made of stone, but they are heated, or they were heated. Now they are cooling down. Put your hand on a bench. It is tepid, lukewarm. It holds the faint memory of the fire that burned below the floor hours ago. It is a gentle warmth fading slowly into the stone. It is a comforting, dying heat. The room is empty. There are shelves on the wall where citizens leave their oils and strigils, the curved metal tools used to scrape dirt from the skin. The shelves are bare now. The tools are gone. There is only the dust settling on the stone. We keep moving, deeper into the complex. We enter the caldarium, the hot room. This is the heart of the engineering. The floor here is raised on pillars of brick. Below the floor is the hypocaust, the furnace system. During the day, fires burn fiercely in the furnaces outside, sending hot air rushing through the space under the floor. The floor becomes hot enough to burn bare feet, so people wear wooden sandals. But tonight, the furnaces are banked. The fires are just glowing beds of ash. The air under the floor is still warm, but it is not rushing anymore. The caldarium is humid. Condensation hangs on the walls. Tiny droplets of water form on the marble cladding. Watch one droplet, it grows heavy. It gets too heavy to hold on. It slides down the wall. Slide. It leaves a wet trail. It hits the floor. Drip. The sound is tiny in the massive room. Drip, wait for the next one. A drip. It is a slow, irregular clock. The room is sweating out the heat of the day. The steam has condensed back into water. The fog has cleared. There is only the damp heat left. At the far end of the caldarium is a basin of hot water, the labrum. It is a large, shallow fountain. The water is no longer boiling hot. It is bath warm. It is stagnant. The surface is covered in a very thin, almost invisible film of mineral dust. It is waiting for the morning drain and refill. Let us go down. Let us go beneath the floor. We drift through a service vent into the hypocaust, the underworld of the baths. This is a cramped space only about 2 or 3 feet high. It is a forest of small brick pillars, pilly stacks, hundreds of them arranged in neat rows holding up the heavy stone floor above. It is pitch black here, absolute darkness. It is dry and dusty. It smells of soot and wood ash. The air is still hot here. The bricks retain heat for a long time. You can feel the thermal energy radiating from the pillars. This is the engine room, now silent. There are no slaves here now. The stokers have gone to sleep. The shovels are leaning against the wall. The piles of wood are stacked neatly, waiting for dawn. It is a secret, hidden world of geometry and heat. Row after row of brick columns disappearing into the dark. Silent, hot, empty. We float back up through the floor, up through the hot room, back to the tepidarium. We enter the apoditerium, the changing room. This is usually the most chaotic room. People dressing, undressing, arguing, laughing. Now it is the loneliest. Rows of stone cubbies, niche shelves line the walls. They look like empty eyes staring at you. There are no clothes, no sandals, just cold stone boxes. The benches in the middle of the room are worn smooth by thousands of people sitting down to untie their shoes. You can see the depression in the stone where people have sat for centuries. A hollow worn by human weight. A mouse runs across the floor. Its claws make a scratching sound on the stone. Scritch, scratch, scritch. It stops. It sniffs the air. It smells no food, only soap and water. It runs on. It disappears into a crack in the wall. The silence rushes back in to fill the space left by the mouse. It is a heavy silence. The building feels massive around you. Tons of concrete, tons of marble, tons of brick, all of it pressing down on the earth. Gravity is the only force at work here, holding the roof up, holding the water down, holding the walls in place. We float out into the palestra, the exercise yard. It is an open-air courtyard surrounded by a colonnade of columns. The ground is sand. During the day, men wrestle here. They lift weights. They throw balls. The sand is churned up. But tonight, the wind has smoothed it out. Or perhaps a slave has raked it smooth before leaving. It looks like a flat, yellow desert in the moonlight. The columns cast long, straight shadows across the sand, like the bars of a cage or the markings of a sundial. But there is no sun to tell the time, only the moon. In the corner of the yard, there is a pile of heavy stone balls, weights for lifting. They sit in a pyramid. They are round, heavy, and motionless. They are potential energy waiting for a muscle to move them. But tonight, they are just stones. Cold, heavy stones on the sand. A gust of wind blows through the colonnade. It whistles slightly as it passes around the stone pillars. Woo-woo. It picks up a few grains of sand. They scatter across the stone walkway. Hiss. A dry, whispering sound. The bathhouse is a machine for the body, but without bodies it is just sculpture. It is geometry and geology. Water, stone, fire, and air. Resting. Let us go back to the central hall. The high vaulted ceiling, the groin vaults look up. The concrete ceiling is covered in plaster and painted with geometric designs, red and blue squares, but in the dark they are all gray. The ceiling is so high it feels like a second sky. The acoustics are perfect. If you were to breathe out loud here, the room would hold the sound. Let's sit by the edge of the great cold pool again. Sit on the marble rim. The stone sucks the warmth from your legs. Look at the reflection of the window in the water. A perfect rectangle of starry sky trapped in the pool. It doesn't move. The water is evaporating very slowly. Invisible molecules lifting off the surface and joining the humid air. It is a slow, silent process. Everything here is slow. The cooling of the bricks, the drying of the floor, the evaporation of the water. There is no rush to open the doors. The baths will not open until the sun is high. There are hours and hours of emptiness ahead, hours for the water to be still, hours for the dust to settle, hours for the echo to fade. The building feels like a sleeping giant. Its breath is the warm air from the vents. Its bones are the brick arches. Its blood is the water in the lead pipes beneath the floor. Listen to the pipes deep in the walls. Sometimes air gets trapped in the water lines. Gurgle, a low stomach-like rumble from deep within the wall. Glug, then silence. The plumbing is adjusting itself. The aqueduct is pushing water against the valves. Pressure and resistance. Silent physics in the dark. You are safe here. The walls are 6 feet thick. Nothing can get in. The world outside is forgotten. There is only the damp, cool, echoing peace of the baths. Rest your eyes on the dark water. It is deep. It is dark. It is asleep. The moisture of the bathhouse is gone. The sound of dripping water is a distant memory. We have passed through a heavy door curtained with thick tapestry to block out the noise and the damp. We are in a room of wood and paper. The air here is incredibly dry. It has to be. Moisture is the enemy of the scroll. The air smells of 3 things: old dust, dried reeds, and cedar oil. Cedar oil is the smell of preservation. It is rubbed onto the shelves and the wooden cases to keep the worms and the insects away. It is a sharp, resinous scent. Clean, ancient. It hangs in the still air, protecting the words. The room is rectangular. The walls are not painted with frescoes. They are lined with wooden furniture. These are the armaria, large wooden cupboards with doors. Some doors are open, revealing the shelves inside. Some are closed. The wood is dark, walnut or oak. It absorbs the shadows. Let us drift towards one of the open cupboards. Inside, lying horizontally on the shelves, are the scrolls. Volumina. They are not books with spines. They are rolls. They are stacked in a honeycomb pattern or simply lying side by side like sleeping logs. Look at the ends of the scrolls. You see the umbilicus, the wooden rod that runs through the center of the roll. The ends of the rods are painted, some black, some red, some gilded with a little gold leaf that catches the faint moonlight. They look like rows of small, round eyes staring out from the shelf. Hanging from the end of each scroll is a small tag, a titulus. It is a strip of leather or parchment. On it, written in red ink, is the title of the work. The tags hang down limply. They do not move. There is no breeze here. They are like leaves on a tree that has forgotten how to rustle. Let us look closer at one of the scrolls. It is made of papyrus. Think of the journey of this material. It began as a green reed growing in the mud of the Nile Delta in Egypt. It was cut. It was peeled. The pith was sliced into thin strips. The strips were laid out side by side. Then another layer was laid across them at a right angle. They were pressed, beaten with a mallet, dried in the hot sun, polished with a smooth stone or a piece of ivory until they were shiny. Now it is here. It is no longer green. It is a pale yellowish brown, the color of dry sand. It is brittle. If you were to unroll it now in the silence, it would make a loud crackling sound. Crinkle, crack, but we will not unroll it. We will let it keep its secrets rolled up tight. What is written inside? It is not an exciting story. It is likely a record of grain shipments from the year 45, or a treatise on the proper pruning of grapevines, or a grammar textbook for children. Rows and rows of verbs. Amo, amas, aim at. I love, you love, he loves. Written by a scribe who was tired. Read by a student who was bored. Now resting in the dark. The ink on the page is made of soot, lampblack mixed with gum arabic and water. Atramentum. It dried decades ago. It is permanent. It sits on top of the fibers of the papyrus. Black marks on brown paper. Silent voices. The library is a place of potential noise. The noise of reading aloud, for Romans almost always read aloud. But tonight, it is the quietest place in the city. The words are trapped. They cannot speak unless an eye sees them and a mouth speaks them. In the dark, they are just ink. In the center of the room stands a table. It is a reading table angled slightly. There is a bronze statue standing on a pedestal in the corner. It is Minerva, the goddess of wisdom. She wears a helmet. She holds a spear. But she is made of bronze. She is cold. She is hollow. She watches the room with metal eyes. Dust has settled on her helmet, a fine gray layer of dust. Dust is the skin of the room. It falls slowly, continuously. It covers the top of the armaria. It covers the floor. If you were to walk here, you would leave footprints in the dust of yesterday. Let's focus on the woodwork of the shelves. The joinery is precise. Dovetail joints. Wood fitted into wood. The carpenter who made this ran his hand over the surface to check for splinters. It is smooth, polished with beeswax. The smell of the wax mixes with the smell of the cedar oil. There is a ladder leaning against the tall shelves. It is made of light wood. It stands there, waiting for someone to climb it. But no one is climbing. It casts a long, diagonal shadow across the floor. The shadow is darker than the floor, but softer at the edges. Listen to the room. It has a different acoustic than the stone bathhouse. Wood absorbs sound. The silence here is dead. It doesn't echo. If you snapped your fingers, the sound would vanish instantly into the books. Snap. Gone. This creates a feeling of intimacy. You are wrapped in the room. The walls are close. The knowledge surrounds you like a fortress. There is a window high up. It is not glass. It is a sheet of translucent selenite, a type of gypsum stone. It glows faintly with the moonlight from outside. It looks like a block of milky ice. It lets in a diffused, soft light that barely reaches the floor. In that faint light, you can see dust motes floating in the air. They are suspended. They move in slow motion, drifting up, drifting down. They catch the tiny bit of light and sparkle for a second, then disappear into the shadow. They are the only things moving in the room. Think about the scribes, the men who wrote these scrolls. They sat in rooms like this or in busy scriptoriums. They dipped their reed pens, calamus, into the inkwell. Dip. They scratched the pen across the papyrus. Scritch. Scratch. They paused to sharpen the nib with a small knife. Scrape. Scrape. All that effort. All those hours of sitting hunched over, back aching, all stored here, compressed into these rolls. It is a battery of human time, But tonight the battery is disconnected. The effort is finished. There is a scroll lying on the table. Someone left it there. It is half unrolled. It is held open by a lead weight. The lead is gray and dull. The scroll is waiting for the reader to return, but the reader is asleep in his bed. The sentence is cut off in the middle, and therefore the council decided that the grain should be. It stops there. The thought is suspended in the air. It doesn't matter what the council decided. Not tonight. The grain has been eaten long ago. The council is dead. Only the ink remains. The atmosphere is heavy with the smell of old things. It is a soporific smell, a smell that makes your eyelids heavy. It is the smell of a dry afternoon in a quiet room, preserved forever. There is a chair near the table, a cathedra, a chair with a curved back. It has a cushion. The cushion is indented. The ghost of a sitter is still there. The fabric of the cushion is velvet, worn smooth in the center. Imagine sitting in that chair. In the dark, surrounded by the smell of cedar, you are safe. The problems of the world are written down and rolled up and put away in cupboards. You don't have to solve them. You don't even have to read them. They are just objects, wood and reed and soot. The silence presses against your ears. It is a soft pressure, like cotton wool. A timber in the ceiling creates a sound. Talk. It is the wood contracting as the night gets colder. The library is adjusting its bones. Then silence returns, deeper than before. The scrolls on the shelves seem to huddle together. They are sleeping in their rows. The history of the empire is asleep. The laws are asleep. The poetry is asleep. There is nothing to learn here tonight. There is no test. There is no recitation. There is only the preservation of the past in the dark. Feel the dryness of the air in your own throat. It is clean. It is still. It is peaceful. We will float here for a moment, amongst the millions of words that no one is speaking. The weight of all that silence is comforting. It is a blanket of knowledge that keeps the room warm. The moonlight shifts on the floor. It moves an inch to the left. The night progresses. The library waits. We leave the smell of dry papyrus and cedar wood behind. We drift through a doorway, pushing aside a heavy curtain that separates the study from the rest of the house. Immediately, the air changes. It strikes your face with a gentle, cooling moisture. It smells of living things. We have entered the peristylium, the garden courtyard. This is the lungs of the Roman house. It is a square of nature trapped inside a square of stone. Above, there is no ceiling. There is only the open sky, framed by the edges of the roof tiles. The moon is shining directly down into this private world. Around the edges of the garden is a walkway, covered by a roof and supported by columns. The columns are painted white, or perhaps a pale yellow on the bottom third. In the moonlight, they look like rows of pale trees made of stone. They cast long, parallel shadows across the walkway floor. The floor here is mosaic, but simpler than the interior. A pattern of black vines on a white background. We step off the mosaic and onto the earth. We are in the garden proper. The viridarium, the ground is soft. It is not paved. It is soil, dark and rich, carefully tended by a gardener who is now asleep. The soil breathes. You can smell the dampness rising from it. It is the smell of wet dirt, of roots, of mulch. In the center of the garden is a fountain. It is the only sound in the house. Let us move closer to it. It is a small marble basin, perhaps waist high. In the center stands a small bronze statue, a boy holding a duck, or perhaps a dolphin. From the mouth of the dolphin, a thin stream of water emerges. Listen to the water. It does not splash violently. It is a low-pressure stream, trickle, burble. It hits the water in the basin with a soft, consistent sound, plip, plop, plip. It is a sound that creates silence rather than breaking it. It masks the distant noise of the city. It creates a curtain of white noise. The water in the basin is dark. Floating on the surface are a few lily pads. They are motionless. Under the water near the bottom are smooth river stones. Green algae and moss cling to the sides of the stone basin. They are soft and velvety. They sway gently with the current of the falling water, back and forth, back and forth. The water overflows the basin through a small notch. It runs down a channel cut into the marble. It feeds the garden beds. It is a system of irrigation that works by gravity, silent, efficient, constant. Surrounding the fountain are the plants. The Romans love order even in nature. There are low hedges of boxwood buxus. They are clipped into perfect geometric shapes, squares, circles. They are dense and dark green. In the night they look black. They are walls for insects. They are fortifications for beetles. Run your hand over the top of a boxwood hedge in your mind. The leaves are small, hard, and glossy. They feel cool and waxy. They are stiff. They resist your hand slightly. There is dew forming on them. Your hand comes away wet. Behind the hedges are the rose bushes. Rosa. They are not blooming fully now. It is night. The flowers are closed or partially closed, protecting their pollen from the cold, but the scent is there. It is a heavy, sweet perfume that hangs low to the ground. It mixes with the smell of the damp earth. It is not a fresh morning smell. It is a deep, musky night smell. There is a trellis against one of the columns. Ivy grows up it, hedera. The leaves are shaped like hearts. They grip the stone column with tiny rootlets. They are climbing slowly, inch by inch, year by year. Tonight they are holding on. They do not move. Let us sit on a bench. There is a stone bench made of white marble curved in a semicircle, exedra. It sits in the corner of the walkway facing the garden. The stone is cold. It conducts the heat away from the body. It is solid and unyielding. Sit here and look at the garden. The moonlight creates high contrast. The leaves that catch the light are silver. The leaves in the shadow are black. It is a world of silver and ink. A moth flutters by. It is a large gray moth. It flies silently, no buzzing. It is drawn to the reflection of the moon in the fountain water. It dips down. It touches the water surface. Dip. It creates a tiny ripple. Then it flies up again, disappearing into the shadows of the roof. On the wall of the house facing the garden there is a fresco painting. It is painted to look like a garden. It depicts trees, birds, and fountains. In the dim light it is hard to tell where the real garden ends and the painted garden begins. The real ivy seems to merge with the painted ivy. The illusion is perfect. The Romans loved this, the blurring of art and nature. But the painted birds do not sing. The painted fountain does not trickle. They are silent companions to the real plants. Look down at the path. There is a snail. It is making its way across a stone paver. It is the slowest traveler in the empire. Its shell is a spiral of brown and beige. Its body is gray and glistening. It leaves a trail of silver slime behind it. It moves by expanding and contracting its single foot. Glide. It moves a millimeter, then another. It is in no rush. It has nowhere to be until morning. Watch the snail. It encounters a fallen leaf. It touches it with its feelers. It considers the leaf. It decides to go around. A slow, deliberate turn. This is the drama of the garden. A snail turning left. The air is very still here. The walls of the house block the wind. The flame of a small oil lamp left burning in a niche by the door stands perfectly straight. It does not flicker. It is a teardrop of fire. It casts a warm, orange glow on a cluster of acanthus leaves. The acanthus leaves are large, jagged, and architectural. They look like the top of a Corinthian column. They are statuesque plants. Deep in the soil, the roots are drinking. They are absorbing the water from the fountain channel. It is a silent banquet, minerals entering the roots, water traveling up the stems, pressure building in the leaves. It is biological work happening in the dark. From the dining room, the triclinium, which opens onto this garden, there is silence. Earlier, there was the sound of spoons on bowls, the sound of wine being poured. Now the couches are empty. The table is wiped clean. The floor has been swept of crumbs. The garden is the audience to an empty theater. The sky above the square opening is a deep, dark blue, almost black but not quite. A few stars are visible in the frame. They look like they are caught in a net of roof tiles. A cloud drifts by. It is a slow, white puff of vapor. It obscures the moon for a moment. The garden goes dark. The silver leaves turn gray. The shadows merge into one large shadow. The smell of the roses seems to get stronger in the dark. Then the cloud passes. The light returns. The silver returns. The temperature is dropping slightly. You can feel the chill settling on your skin. It is a refreshing chill. It closes the pores. It slows the blood. It tells the body that it is time to hibernate for the night. Listen to the fountain again. Burble, trickle, splash. The rhythm never changes. It is a clock made of water. It counts the seconds of the night without numbers. It is hypnotic. If you stare at the water long enough, you lose track of time. Was that a minute? An hour? It doesn't matter. There is a small tree in the corner, a pomegranate tree, Punica granatum. It is small and gnarled. It has a few fruit hanging on it. Round, heavy globes, they are ripening. Inside, hundreds of seeds are encased in ruby red juice, but on the outside they are just tough, leathery skin. They hang motionless on the branch, weights of sweetness waiting for the sun. A cricket chirps, just one chirp, then silence. Maybe it was a mistake, maybe it is too cold for chirping. The silence after the chirp feels deeper than before. The garden is a secret. It is hidden from the street, hidden from the neighbors. It is a private paradise of boredom. Nothing happens here but growth and decay. Slow, invisible growth. Slow, invisible decay. The water overflows the basin. It runs down the channel. It sinks into the earth. The cycle is complete. Rest here on the cold bench. Lean your head back against the wall. Smell the wet earth. Listen to the water. Watch the snail. The night is heavy and sweet. The Roman world is asleep around you. You are safe in the center of the square. The water continues to fall. Plip, plop, plip. We leave the garden. We leave the gentle trickling of the fountain and the smell of roses. We follow the water. The water overflows the marble basin, runs down the small channel cut in the stone, and disappears into a drain. A small, dark hole in the ground covered by a bronze grate. We slip through the grate. We are going down, down into the dark, down into the earth. The air changes immediately. The fresh, cold scent of the night air is gone. It is replaced by a different smell. It is the smell of wet stone, of ancient mud, of damp, enclosed spaces that have not seen the sun for centuries. It is a heavy mineral smell, not sharp, just deep and stagnant. We descend through a lead pipe, a fistula. It is narrow and vertical. Gravity pulls us down. Then we emerge into a larger space. We are in the cloaca, the sewer, but do not think of it as a dirty pipe. Think of it as an underground cathedral of water. The Romans were masters of stone. They built their sewers with the same care they built their temples. We are standing on a ledge inside a massive tunnel. The tunnel is huge. You could drive a wagon through it. The ceiling is a high, vaulted arch. It is built of massive blocks of stone, tufa, volcanic rock, rough and porous, or perhaps vast sections of Roman brick, red and flat, bound together with pozzolanic mortar, the concrete that hardens underwater. The walls curve up and over, meeting in the center. The keystone, the stone that holds it all together. It hangs there in the dark, pressing down, locking the arch in place. It holds the weight of the street above. It holds the weight of the houses, the temples, the sleeping people. All of Rome rests on these arches. Below us flows the water, the underground river. It is dark, black as ink. It moves constantly, it does not rush, it slides, slush, slush, a heavy, thick sound. It is carrying the rainwater from the streets, the overflow from the baths, the waste from the houses. It is the purging of the city. There is no light here, absolute darkness. But if we could see, we would see the water reflecting the stone arch, a mirror of black glass moving through the earth. The surface of the water is oily. It swirls slowly around the corners. Swirl, slide. The walls are coated in a thin layer of slime, algae and moss that have adapted to the dark. They are slippery. Water drips from the ceiling, plip. It falls from a crack in the mortar. It falls 20 feet. It hits the surface of the river. Plop. The sound echoes. Plop. Op. 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 The echo travels down the tunnel. It bounces off the wet stone walls. It lasts for seconds. The temperature here never changes. It is not hot. It is not cold. It is the temperature of the deep earth. Constant. Stable. Winter or summer, day or night, it is always the same down here. It is a place without seasons. We float along the tunnel, drifting with the current. The slope is gentle. The engineers calculated it perfectly. Just enough tilt to keep the water moving, but not enough to erode the stone. A steady, calculated decline towards the river Tiber. Occasionally we pass a side tunnel, a smaller arch joining the main one. Water flows out of it, joining the main stream. Gurgle, splash, the waters mix. The volume increases. The river gets wider. Look at the brickwork on the walls. Run your hand along it in the dark. The bricks are flat triangles pointed inwards. They are rough to the touch. They are cold and wet. They have been here for 300 years. They will be here for 2,000 more. They are indifferent to time. There are things floating in the water. Driftwood, a broken basket, a discarded sandal. They bob along silently. Ghostly objects on a journey to the sea. They turn slowly in the current, around and around. There is life here too. On the ledge a rat sits. It is washing its whiskers. It stops. It looks at the dark water. It is not afraid. It is the king of this underworld. Its claws make a tiny scratching sound on the stone. Scritch. It scampers away into a hole in the wall. Gone. The silence returns, but it is not a true silence. It is a rumble, a low-frequency vibration, the sound of tons of water moving through stone. It is a sound you feel in your chest more than you hear with your ears. It is the heartbeat of the city's plumbing. We pass under a grate. Far, far above, there is a tiny square of lighter gray, the street level. Through the bars of the grate, a very faint sound drifts down. The clip-clop of the night watchman we saw earlier, or perhaps just the wind. It sounds incredibly distant, like a memory. We are separated from the world by 30 feet of earth and stone. We are deep in the subura, the valley bottom. Here the tunnels are largest, the cloaca maxima. It is vast. It is awe-inspiring in its emptiness. The air is thick and damp. It tastes of minerals and wet clay. If you breathe it in, it feels heavy in your lungs. It slows you down. Let's stop for a moment and look at a stalactite forming on the ceiling. Water has been dripping from this one spot for centuries. It has left behind minerals, calcium carbonate, a tiny white stone finger growing downwards, drop by drop. It grows a millimeter every 10 years. It is a slow clock measuring the age of the sewer. A droplet hangs on the tip of the stalactite. It shimmers in the dark. It falls. Drip. The ripples spread out below. They hit the wall. Lap. The water is relentless. It never stops. While the emperor sleeps, the water flows. While the army marches, the water flows. While the empire rises and falls, the water flows. It is the only constant. The architecture is repetitive. Arch after arch after arch. Infinite regression into the darkness. If you look forward, you see nothing but black. If you look backward, you see nothing but black. You are suspended in a void of stone. The water creates a draft, a breeze that moves with the current. It brushes against your face. Cold, damp. It carries the smell of the river that lies ahead. We are drifting towards the exit, towards the Tiber. The tunnel widens even more. It becomes a cavern. 3 layers of arches stacked on top of each other. Engineering genius buried in the muck. Listen to the changing sound of the water. It is getting deeper, slower. The channel is wide here, the friction is less. The water glides like oil, smooth, silent, powerful. There is a sense of inevitability here. The water has no choice. It must go down, it must find the river. It is a comforting thought. No decisions to make, just follow the gravity, just follow the stone channel. Flow, slide, drift. The walls are encrusted with deposits, layers of history hardened onto the brick. If you scrape the wall, you would find the dust of the Republic, the dust of the kings, all trapped in the slime. We are nearing the mouth of the sewer, the emissarium. Ahead there is a change in the light. Not light really, but a lessening of the dark, a gray softness, the opening to the river. We drift closer. The arch frame of the exit appears. It is gigantic. Beyond it, the open air. But we do not go out yet. We stay just inside the arch, protected by the roof, watching the water merge with the great river. The Tiber, Tigris, Father Tiber. The river is wide and dark gray. It flows perpendicularly to the sewer. The sewer water meets the river water. They swirl together. Turbulence. Eddies of water spinning, swish, gurgle. Then they smooth out. They become one. We sit here on the edge of the outflow, looking out at the river in the night. The riverbank on the other side is a dark line of trees. The stars are reflected in the river water. They dance and wobble on the ripples. The sound of the river is different from the sewer. It is louder, more chaotic, but the sewer is steady. Behind us, the tunnel stretches back into the heart of the city, a long, dark throat of stone, silent and waiting. Feel the dampness on your skin. You are part of the water cycle now. Rain falls, water flows, river runs, sea waits. It is a slow, endless loop, boring and beautiful. The stone arch above us is jagged with age. Plants hang down from the top of the opening, vines dangling in the water. They sway with the river current, dragging in the water. Swish, swish. The smell here is open air mixed with mud. It is easier to breathe, but the heaviness of the tunnel is still behind us, the weight of Rome. Let the image of the dark water fill your mind. black, glossy, moving, carrying everything away, washing the city clean while it dreams, clearing the slate for tomorrow. The water moves, the stone stays, the night deepens. Rest in the flow, drift in the dark. There is nothing to see but the shadow of the bridge overhead. There is nothing to hear but the water. We leave the sound of the rushing Tiber behind. The water fades into the distance. We move south, past the Porta Capena gate. We are now outside the city proper. According to Roman law, no one can be buried inside the walls. The city belongs to the living, so the dead inhabit the roads leading out. We are floating down the Via Appia, the queen of roads, Regina Viarum. This road is straight. It is a line of absolute geometry drawn across the landscape. It does not curve for hills. It goes over them. It does not bend for swamps. It goes through them. In the moonlight, the road looks like a silver ribbon stretching to the horizon. The paving stones here are massive, volcanic basalt. They are fitted together so tightly that you cannot slide a knife blade between them. They have been polished by centuries of cartwheels and sandals. They glint in the moonlight, smooth, hard, eternal. On either side of the road, the tombs rise up. They stand shoulder to shoulder like houses in a strange, silent suburb. This is the necropolis, the city of the dead. But tonight, it is not a place of fear. It is a place of profound rest. It is a library of lives that have finished their work. The tombs come in all shapes. Some are small altars barely waist high. Some are tall towers that block out the stars. Some look like small temples with columns and triangular roofs. But they all have one thing in common. They are made of stone, travertine, marble, tough, cold, heavy stone. Let us stop in front of one of the larger tombs. It is a circular mausoleum covered in earth on top like a small hill. Cypress trees grow on the summit. The cypress is the tree of mourning, the tree of the underworld, but it is also the tree of silence. Its leaves are not broad and flat. They are tiny scales wrapped tight around the branches. When the wind blows through a cypress tree, it does not rustle. It sighs, hush, a low, breathy sound. It absorbs the wind rather than fighting it. Look at the trees. They are tall, dark pillars against the night sky. They point straight up. They do not sway much. They are rigid. They stand guard over the stones, dark green, almost black in this light. They smell of resin and dry pine needles, a sharp, clean scent that clears the mind. We drift closer to a marble relief carved into the side of a tomb. It shows a portrait of a family, a man, a woman, a child. They are holding hands. The carving is shallow. It is worn by the rain. The details of their faces are soft now. The noses are flattened. The eyes are blank, but the hands are still clasped. Stone fingers interlaced with stone fingers, holding on for 200 years. They do not let go. Below the relief is an inscription. The letters are cut deep into the marble, V-shaped grooves. Shadows hide in the grooves, making the letters readable in the moonlight. D. M. Dis manibus, to the spirits of the departed. Read the name, Lucius, Valerius. The rest is covered in lichen, a patch of gray-green crust that grows slowly over the words. The lichen is alive. It feeds on the stone. It is erasing the name very slowly. 1 year it covers a letter. 10 years later it covers another. Eventually the name will be gone. Only the stone will remain. It is a slow, gentle forgetting. There is a marble bench near the road. It was built for travelers to rest. Stop, traveler, the inscriptions often say, Sist Viator, read my name and remember me. But tonight there are no travelers. No one stops. The bench is empty. It is cold. Dew has settled on the seat. It reflects the moon. The silence here is different from the silence in the library or the sewer. This is an open-air silence. It is vast. The road stretches for miles and miles. Tombs on the left, tombs on the right. Endless rows of silent neighbors. A lizard is sleeping in a crack of the tomb. Its blood is cold. It is in a state of torpor. It does not move. It is as still as the stone it rests on. It waits for the sun to warm the rock, but the sun is far away. Let your eyes follow the straight line of the road south. It goes into the darkness. Imagine walking this road, step, 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 passing the monuments, passing the statues of men in togas. They stand on their plinths looking down at the empty road. Some are missing heads, some are missing arms. Time has taken pieces of them, but they stand with dignity. Folds of marble fabric carved to look like wool. Rigid, heavy, unmoving. The wind shifts. It blows dust across the road. Swish. Fine gray dust. The dust of the road, the dust of the tombs. It settles on the paving stones. It settles on the cypress branches. It is the equalizer. Everything eventually turns to dust. It is a peaceful thought, no more struggle, just dust. There is a small altar with a hollow top. It was meant for offerings, flowers, wine, oil. It is empty now. Just a few dry leaves from last autumn have gathered in the bowl. They are brown and brittle. They swirl slightly in the breeze, scritch, a dry sound against the stone. The moon is bright enough to cast shadows from the statues. The shadow of a hand stretches across the road, long and thin. It touches the other side, a shadow bridge. As the moon moves, the shadow hand moves, very slowly, like a sundial marking the hours of the night. Far away in the fields behind the tombs, a cricket chirps, but here on the road it is quiet. The stone absorbs the sound. The heavy masonry acts as a shield. Consider the engineering of the tomb foundations. Deep underground, beneath the grass, are layers of concrete, holding these heavy structures up. The Romans built for eternity. They wanted their rest to be undisturbed, and it is. The earth holds them. The stone protects them. There is a sense of heavy gravity here. The monuments are anchored. They are not going anywhere. They are heavy, settled, and permanent. You can feel the weight of them pressing down. Stable, secure. A bat flutters overhead. It flies erratically. Flap, flap, glide. It is a small, dark shape against the stars. It navigates by sound, hunting insects. It makes no noise that human ears can hear. It is a silent companion to the silent road. We pass a tomb that is shaped like a pyramid, imitating the Egyptians. The flat, triangular sides reflect the moonlight. It looks unnatural among the trees. A geometric shape in a natural world. Sharp edges, pointed top. It divides the sky. The road continues. Mile after mile, it leads to the mountains. It leads to the sea. But here, it is just a path between the sleeping memories. The air is cool and dry. It smells of stone dust. It smells of old marble. There is a peacefulness in knowing that the journey is over for the people here. They do not have to walk the road anymore. They just watch it. The cypress trees stand like sentinels. They do not sleep. They keep the watch. Their roots go deep, wrapping around the stones, holding the earth together. Let us sit on the empty bench for a moment. The stone is hard beneath us. Look down the road. The perspective lines converge at a single point in the dark. The vanishing point. It is hypnotic. Two lines becoming one, leading your eye into the void. There is no fear here, only geometry and stone, and the quiet rustle of the cypress trees. Hush. The world is still. The history is written in stone, and the stone is sleeping. The road ends here. The river ends here. We have reached the edge of the land. Before us lies the Tyrrhenian Sea. The air is completely different now. It is heavy with salt. It tastes sharp on the tongue. It sticks to the skin. It smells of brine, of seaweed, and of wet wood. We are floating above the harbor of Ostia, the artificial harbor built by the emperors to feed the city. It is a massive hexagon of water enclosed by stone moles, great walls built out into the sea to break the waves. Inside the walls, the water is calm. Outside, the sea is breathing. Hush, hush. The harbor is crowded. Dozens of ships lie at anchor. They are the corbetti, the round-hulled merchant ships of Rome. They are not war galleys. They are not fast. They are fat, heavy, and reliable. They look like sleeping whales floating on the black water. Let us drift down to the deck of one of these ships. It is a grain ship from Alexandria, Egypt. It has traveled hundreds of miles across the open sea. Now it is at rest. The sails are furled. The great square mainsail is rolled up tight and tied to the yardarm. It looks like a long, pale cocoon against the night sky. The canvas is stiff with salt spray. The wood of the ship is dark. It is coated in pitch and tar to keep the water out. In the moonlight, the tar gleams. It looks wet and sticky. The smell of the tar is strong here. A chemical, earthy smell mixed with the sea. It is the smell of watertight security. Listen to the ship. It is alive. It moves gently with the swell of the harbor water, up and down, a slow, sickening, soothing rhythm. As it moves, the wood speaks, creak, groan. The timber frames rub against each other, oak ribs pressing against pine planks. It is a low, complaining sound, but it is not a sound of breaking. It is the sound of flexibility. The ship bends with the water. Ropes are everywhere, thick hemp ropes. The rigging, the lines that hold the mast, the lines that hold the cargo, they are pulled tight. When the ship rocks, the ropes stretch. Eek, a high-pitched, dry sound. Then the tension releases. Thwump, a rope hits the mast. We sit on the aft deck near the large steering oars, the gubernaculum. There are two of them, large wooden paddles sticking out of the back of the ship into the water. They are lashed fast for the night. The water laps against them, slap, slap, gurgle. The water is dark and oily here in the port. It reflects the lantern hanging from the stern post. A single yellow eye swinging in the dark. Swing left, creak. Swing right, creak. On the deck, cargo is stacked. Amphorae. Hundreds of them, pointed bottoms, long necks, two handles. They are packed in straw and sand to keep them from breaking. They hold wine from Crete or oil from Spain. They stand in rows, silent soldiers of commerce. The moonlight catches the curve of their clay shoulders. Smooth, round, identical. A sailor is asleep on a coil of rope. It looks uncomfortable, but he is used to it. He is wrapped in a rough blanket. His rhythmic breathing mixes with the sound of the waves. He does not dream of land. He dreams of the wind. Let's look over the side of the ship. Look down at the waterline. Barnacles cling to the hull. Thousands of small, sharp shells. They are the stowaways of the sea. They are clamped shut tight, waiting for the tide. The water in the harbor is not still like the water in the bathhouse. It is restless. It is connected to the great ocean. It rises and falls with the tide, slowly, inexorably. The ship lifts a few inches. Then it sinks a few inches. It is being cradled by the planet. Far out at the entrance to the harbor stands the lighthouse, the Pharos. It is a tall tower built in layers. At the top, a fire burns. We can see it from here, a small pulsing orange star. It does not flash, it burns steadily. Slaves are up there feeding logs into the fire, keeping the beacon lit, so that ships arriving in the darkness know where the land begins. It is a comforting light, it says. Here is safety, here is the end of the journey. A gull cries out in the dark, Kiawa, just once. It flies over the ship, a white ghost. It lands on the top of the mast. It folds its wings. It settles down to sleep. Now it is just part of the silhouette. The air here is humid. Everything is damp. The deck is wet with dew and spray. If you touched the railing, your hand would be wet. The salt would dry on your skin, leaving a white crust. We drift from ship to ship. They are all different, yet all the same. A fishing boat, small and smelling of fish scales. A barge, flat and heavy, carrying marble blocks. A luxury yacht with a gilded stern belonging to a senator. But the sea treats them all the same. It rocks them all. Rock, creak, rock. There is a gap between the planks of the deck. We can look down into the hold. It is pitch black down there. We can hear the grain shifting, tons of wheat. As the ship rolls, the grain slides. S-H-H-H-H-H-H-H, like sand in an hourglass. It is the sound of Rome's breakfast, waiting to be unloaded. The dock itself is made of concrete and stone. Huge iron rings are set into the stone. Thick hawsers mooring ropes run from the ships to the rings. The ropes are taut. They dip into the water, then rise up to the stone. They are covered in green algae where they touch the water. They hold the ship to the land, a connection between the fluid and the solid. The night is deep here. The horizon is invisible. You cannot tell where the sea ends and the sky begins. It is all one shade of dark blue-gray. Only the stars mark the difference. And the reflection of the stars in the water, dancing, stretching, breaking. The atmosphere is one of suspension. The voyage is paused. The trade is paused. The ship is a floating warehouse, safe behind the stone walls of the harbor. Feel the motion of the deck. It is not violent. It is soporific, like a cradle, left, right, left, right. The timber groans softly. It is a lullaby of wood and water. The anchor chain hangs off the bow. It goes down into the dark water, down to the mud at the bottom. The iron fluke of the anchor is buried deep in the silt, holding fast, invisible strength in the deep. We will stay here for a while, sitting on the damp wood, watching the lighthouse fire, listening to the water lap against the hull. Lap, lap, splash. There is no hurry. The tide will turn when it turns. The sun will rise when it rises. Until then, we float. The night is still dark. The sky is still black. But in the narrow streets of the city, there is a smell that defies the darkness. It is the smell of warmth. It is the smell of life. It is the smell of roasting grain and rising yeast. We stop in front of a wide doorway. There is no door, just a heavy curtain of canvas to keep the heat inside. We slip past the curtain. The temperature rises instantly. Outside it is winter coat cold. Inside it is summer. The air is dry, thick, and white. We are in the pistrinum, the bakery. This is a factory of food. The room is large with a high ceiling to let the heat rise. The walls are made of brick, but you cannot see the red color. Everything is covered in a fine, soft layer of white dust. Flour. It covers the floor. It covers the tables. It covers the shoulders of the men working here. It hangs in the air like a mist, catching the light of the oil lamps. In the center of the room stand the machines, the millstones, the molly. They are massive hourglass-shaped stones made of porous volcanic rock, gray and pitted. They stand about as tall as a man. They are the engines of the bakery. Let us look at how they work. There is a stationary cone on the bottom, the meta, and a hollow stone hourglass that sits on top, the catalyst. The top stone spins around the bottom stone, and who spins it? A donkey. The donkey is here, harnessed to a wooden beam attached to the millstone. The animal is blindfolded with cloth patches so it does not get dizzy. It walks in a circle, endlessly, step, step, step. The floor beneath its hooves is worn into a circular rut. The donkey does not hurry, it knows the pace. It is a slow, plodding rhythm. Listen to the sound of the stones. It is a deep, rumbling vibration. R-R-R-R-R-R-R. Grind. R-R-R-R-R-R. It is the sound of friction. Grain is poured into the top of the funnel, hard, golden kernels of wheat. They fall down between the stones and they are crushed, pulverized. The hard shell is broken. The white inside is released. It falls out the bottom as flour, soft, powdery, warm from the friction. The sound is continuous. It is a white noise that fills the room. It masks the sound of the city. It creates a trance-like state. Round and round the donkey goes. Round and round the stone turns. On a large wooden table nearby, the bakers, the pistors, are working. They are covered in flour. Their eyelashes are white. Their arms are white. They are silent. They do not need to talk. They know the dance. They are making the dough. In a huge wooden trough, water is mixed with the flour. Water from the aqueduct, cool and clear. And the leaven, a piece of dough saved from yesterday, fermented, sour, alive with yeast. It is mixed in. Watch the hands of the baker. They are strong hands, forearms thickened by years of work. He plunges his hands into the sticky, heavy mass. He pushes, squish. He folds, flop. He turns, thump. Push, fold, turn, push, fold, turn. It is a slow, heavy exercise. The dough fights back. It is elastic. It wants to stay in one shape, but the baker forces it to change. He works air into it. He stretches the gluten. The dough becomes smooth. It becomes silky. It changes from a sticky mess into a coherent living thing. The sound of kneading is rhythmic. Thwack, wheeze, thwack. The air escapes the dough with a soft sigh. The smell of the raw dough is sharp and sour. It is the smell of fermentation, biology happening on the table. Once the dough is ready, it must rest. It is cut into pieces. Each piece is weighed on a bronze scale to ensure it is standard. The Roman state regulates the weight of bread, order, precision, even in food. The baker shapes the loaf. He rolls it into a ball. He flattens it slightly. Then he takes a string or a wooden stamp. He presses it into the top of the dough. He divides it into 8 wedges like a pie, but leaves it connected in the center. This is the panis quadratus, the standard Roman loaf. The scoring will help the bread expand in the oven without cracking. It will also make it easy to tear apart and share later. Now the loaves are placed on wooden boards. They are covered with a linen cloth. They are left to sleep, to rise. In the warmth of the bakery, the yeast wakes up. It eats the sugars in the grain. It breathes out gas. The dough swells, slowly, imperceptibly. If you watch it, you cannot see it move. But if you look away and look back, it is bigger. It is soft and pillowy. Now we turn to the wall of fire. The oven, the fornax. It is a massive brick dome built into the wall. Inside, a fire has been burning for hours. Faggots of wood, brush, charcoal. The bricks are saturated with heat. The fire is raked out now. The ashes are swept aside. The oven is not heated by active flame during the baking. It is heated by the stored energy in the bricks. It is a radiant heat, even, consistent, and intense. The baker uses a pala, a long wooden peel like a shovel. He picks up a loaf. He slides it into the dark mouth of the oven. Slide, jerk. The loaf sits on the hot brick floor. He does it again, and again. Rows of pale dough circles disappearing into the dark cave of heat. He closes the iron door of the oven. Clang. Now the magic happens, the unseen transformation. Inside the dark, hot chamber, the dough springs up. The crust forms. It turns from pale white to gold, then to brown. The smell begins to change. It shifts from sour yeast to the sweet, nutty, toasted smell of baked bread. The smell leaks out of the oven. It fills the room. It is the most comforting smell in human history. It triggers a primal feeling of safety. If there is bread, we will survive. The baker wipes his forehead with his arm. He leaves a streak of clean skin in the flour dust. He leans against the wall. He waits. Baking is mostly waiting. Waiting for the dough to rise. Waiting for the oven to heat. Waiting for the bread to bake. The donkey continues to walk, step, step, step. The millstone continues to rumble, grind, grind. The dust continues to fall, silently covering the floor. There is a cat in the corner here too, white with flour. It is sleeping on a sack of grain. It is warm, it is full. It purrs, a low vibration that matches the millstone. The light in the room is golden and hazy. The flour in the air diffuses the light from the lamps. It makes everything look soft. There are no sharp edges here, just round stones, round loaves, round movements. The heat wraps around you like a blanket. It makes your muscles relax. It makes your eyelids heavy. The sound of the grinding is a drone, a heavy, industrial lullaby. Outside, the city is cold and gray, but inside it is golden and warm. The bread is the sun of the city, rising before the actual sun. The baker checks the oven. He opens the door a crack. A blast of hot air escapes. He peers inside. He sees the loaves. They are brown. They are done. He nods. He closes the door. Just a few more minutes to get the crust perfect. He picks up a broom made of twigs. He sweeps the floor. Swish, swish, moving the white dust from one place to another. It is a never-ending battle, but he does it slowly, methodically. The atmosphere is one of heavy, productive peace. The food for thousands of people is being created in this room, but there is no fanfare, just the slow walk of the donkey and the silent heat of the bricks. Feel the warmth of the room in your mind. Smell the toasted wheat. Hear the deep rumble of the stone. It is a steady, grounding place. We will stay here until the bread comes out, watching the dust float, watching the fire glow. We are high up now. We are standing on the ramparts of the city. The wall is a massive ribbon of stone and concrete that encircles the sleeping capital. It is 30 feet high, 12 feet thick. It is a mountain built by human hands. The wind is different up here. Down in the streets, the air was still, trapped between the buildings. But up here, the wind has no obstacles. It blows from the Apennine Mountains in the east. It is a steady, relentless stream of cold air. It flutters the edge of your cloak. Flap, flap, flap. It whistles softly as it passes through the crenellations, the stone teeth of the wall. Woo-woo. The sky is no longer the deep, velvety black of midnight. It has shifted. It is now a deep, bruised indigo, a color that is neither night nor day. The stars are still there, but they look tired. They are fading. They are stepping back into the depths of space, one by one. The bright constellations we saw earlier, the bear, the hunter, are now faint outlines, barely visible against the lightning blue. Standing on the wall is a soldier, a sentry. He is not marching, he is standing watch. He is wrapped in his sagum, a thick red wool cloak. The wool is heavy with moisture. The dew has settled on his shoulders. Frost has formed on the fibers of the wool, tiny white crystals that sparkle faintly in the starlight. He leans against the stone merlin. His body is still. He has learned the art of conserving heat. To move is to lose warmth. So he stands like a statue. Only his eyes move, scanning the horizon, scanning the dark fields outside the city. Let us look at his equipment in the cold light. His helmet, the Galea, sits on his head. It is made of iron and bronze. It is cold, freezing cold. The metal has absorbed the temperature of the night. Condensation has formed on the cheek guards. Tiny droplets of water run down the metal, tracing paths through the oil that protects it from rust. Drip. A drop falls onto his wool cloak. It is absorbed silently. He holds a pilum, a heavy javelin. The shaft is wood, ash, or hazel. The tip is iron. He rests the butt of the spear on the stone floor. His hand, wrapped in a leather glove, grips the wood loosely. He does not grip it tight. That would tire the hand. He just balances it. The spear is a vertical line against the horizontal line of the horizon. The soldier breathes out. Ha-ha-ha. A cloud of white steam escapes his lips. It hangs in the air for a moment, swirling in the wind before it dissolves. It is the only evidence of heat on the wall, the breath of life in a frozen world. Look out over the edge of the wall. Look at the landscape outside the city. It is a sea of gray mist. The valleys and the fields are covered in fog. The Campagna is sleeping under a blanket of vapor. Trees poke out of the top of the mist like islands in a ghostly ocean. The tops of the cypress trees, the tops of the stone tombs we saw earlier. Everything else is submerged. The silence here is vast. It is not the enclosed silence of the room. It is the silence of distance. You can see for miles, but you can hear nothing. The world is holding its breath, waiting for the sun. But the sun is slow. The earth turns at its own pace. It does not hurry for the sentry. He shifts his weight from his left foot to his right foot. Crunch. The hobnails of his sandals grind against the stone. It is a harsh sound. Then silence returns. He looks towards the east, towards the Alban Hills. There at the very edge of the world there is a change. A thin line of pale gray has appeared. It is not light yet. It is just a lessening of the dark. It is the false dawn, the promise that the night will eventually end. The sentry blinks. His eyes are dry from the wind. He rubs them with the back of his glove, leather on skin. He looks back at the gray line. It has not moved. It feels like time has stopped. Let us examine the stone of the wall itself. The opus testaceum, brick-faced concrete. The bricks are thin triangles, flat and red, but in this light they look purple. The mortar between them is gray. Lichen grows in patches on the face of the wall. Yellow and orange circles of lichen. They are frozen. They are dormant. They are waiting for the dew to melt so they can drink. A bird lands on the wall a few feet away. A crow. It lands silently. It fluffs its feathers against the cold. It looks at the soldier. The soldier looks at the crow. Neither moves. They are companions in the watch. The crow tucks its beak into its wing. It becomes a black ball of feathers. The city behind the wall is slowly changing shape. As the sky lightens, the shadows lift. The black pits of the streets are turning into gray canyons. The rooftops are becoming distinct. You can see the individual tiles now. Terracotta tiles, thousands of them, overlapping like fish scales. They are wet with dew. They look like a silver ocean of clay. Far away, a chimney starts to smoke. A thin, gray column of smoke rises straight up into the still air above the streets. It is the bakery we just left, or perhaps a bathhouse waking up. The smoke rises until it hits the wind layer, then it shreds and scatters, disappearing into the blue. The sentry adjusts his belt, the cingulum. It is made of leather straps covered in metal plates. They jingle softly, ching, ching, a tiny metallic sound. The metal is cold against his tunic. The weight of the armor hangs on his shoulders, chainmail, larica hamada, thousands of interlocking iron rings, weighing 20 pounds of cold iron, dragging down on him, but he is used to it. He doesn't even feel it anymore. It is just his skin now. He thinks about his breakfast, porridge, pools, warm wheat porridge with a little salt. He can almost taste it, but it is hours away. First, the sun must rise, then the relief guard must come, then the inspection, then finally the bowl. The anticipation of the warm bowl is the only thing in his mind. It is a small hope, a simple hope. It keeps him standing. The gray line on the horizon is turning slightly, very slightly pink. A faint, dusty rose color. It is bleeding into the gray. The contrast makes the mountains look sharp and black, silhouettes cut from paper. The wind dies down for a moment. The flag on the tower, a vexillum, stops fluttering. It hangs limp against the pole, red cloth, motionless. The whistling in the crenellation stops. The silence deepens. This is the hush before the dawn. The air is incredibly clean. It smells of ozone, of cold stone, of the distant mountains. It fills the lungs with a sharp clarity. It wakes you up, even as the body wants to sleep. Let us drift down to the base of the wall. On the outside, here the ground is rough. Thistles and weeds grow against the stone. A fox is trotting along the base of the wall. It is returning to its den after a night of hunting. It moves silently. Paws on wet grass, it stops. It sniffs the stone. It smells the soldier 30 feet above. It does not care. It trots on. Its bushy tail trails behind it, collecting droplets of dew. It disappears into the mist. Back up on the wall, the light is increasing. You can see the color of the soldier's eyes now. They are brown, tired but alert. He blinks again. He stamps his feet to get the blood flowing. Thump, thump. The vibration travels down into the stone core of the wall. The vastness of the empire is visible from here. Roads leading out, aqueducts coming in, great arches of stone marching across the plains carrying water. In the dim light, the aqueducts look like the skeletons of giant snakes, stationary, silent, endless. The water inside them is flowing. We cannot see it, but we know it is there. Gravity pulling the water from the hills to the fountains, the lifeline of the city. The sky is now a pale lavender. The stars are almost gone. Only the morning star Venus remains, bright and steady in the east, the herald of the sun. The soldier looks at the star. He nods. He knows the shift is ending. The long, cold night is finally retreating. But it is not day yet. It is the twilight of the morning, the gray hour, the boring, beautiful transition. The stone of the wall is turning from black to gray. The texture of the concrete becomes visible, the pebbles in the mix, the scratch marks of the trowels from 300 years ago, history revealed by the light. We sit on the edge of the parapet, legs dangling over the mist, feeling the cold wind, watching the slow turning of the sky from purple to pink, from pink to orange, but slowly, so slowly. Everything is calm, the city is safe, the wall stands, the sun is coming. We leave the sentry to his watch. We float down into the city maze. We arrive at a large building. The Macelum. It is a building within a building, a courtyard surrounded by shops with a central round structure, a tholos in the middle. The gates are open now. The silence here is different. It is not the silence of sleep. It is the silence of preparation. It is the hush of work before the noise of commerce begins. The light inside is dim. Torches are burning in wall brackets. They cast long, flickering shadows on the stone floor. The air smells of raw food. It smells of wet soil, of pulled roots, of cold flesh and crisp leaves. It is a heavy, organic smell. We move to a vegetable stall. A wooden table, worn smooth and scrubbed clean with vinegar. A farmer is setting up. He has arrived from the countryside with his cart. He is unloading his goods. Watch him, he lifts a basket, corbis. It is made of woven willow branches. It is old. The willow has turned dark brown. When he lifts it, the wicker complains, creak. A dry wooden groan. He sets it on the table. Thump. He opens the lid. Inside are cabbages. Brassica. They are huge, green and purple. He takes one out. It is heavy, dense with leaves. He peels off the outer leaf, which is slightly wilted. Snap. The sound of a crisp leaf breaking. The smell of raw cabbage fills the air instantly. A sharp, mustardy green scent. He places the cabbage on the table. He positions it carefully. Then he takes another and another. He builds a pyramid of cabbages, green spheres stacked on top of each other. He steps back to look at them. He adjusts the top one. He rotates it so the best side faces the customer. This is the art of display. Silent, careful. Next to the cabbages, he pours out a sack of onions. Rattle, thud, roll, the onions are dry. Their skins are like papery gold. They rustle as they settle into a pile. Shh crinkle. Tiny flakes of onion skin drift into the air, catching the torchlight. Golden dust. He takes a bundle of carrots. They are not orange. They are purple and yellow, the ancient varieties. They still have the dirt on them, dark, damp soil from the fields outside the walls. He arranges them in a fan shape. The dirt stains the wood of the table. It is honest dirt. It proves freshness. Moving to the next stall, the fruit cellar. Here the smell is sweeter. Apples, pears, figs. He is polishing an apple with a cloth. Rub, 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 a soft friction sound. The apple turns shiny. It reflects the flame of the lamp. He places it in a wooden bowl. He has a basket of figs. They are soft, purple-black. He handles them with extreme gentleness. If he presses too hard, they will bruise. He picks one up by the stem. He places it on a green vine leaf he has laid out as a decoration. The contrast of the dark fruit against the bright green leaf is pleasing. He does this for 50 figs. One by one, pick up, place, pick up, place. There is a meditative quality to his work. He is not rushing. The customers will not come for another hour. He has time to make it perfect. He hums a low tune under his breath. It has no words, just a melody. Hum, hum. It blends with the sound of the shuffling sandals of other vendors. Let us walk to the center of the market, to the tholos. This is where the fishmongers are. The smell here is the sea. The same smell we encountered at the port, but concentrated. Salt, iodine, cold water. The fish are laid out on marble slabs. The marble is sloping so the water can run off. The fishmonger is splashing water on the fish to keep them glistening. Splash, swish. He uses a sponge. He dips the sponge in a bucket. He squeezes it over the silver bodies of the fish. Squeeze, drip, drip. The fish are arranged by size. Small anchovies in a pile, a mountain of silver, large mullet laid out in a row. Their eyes are clear. Their scales are bright. They look like coins made of living metal. There is ice here, or rather packed snow, brought down from the mountains in insulated wagons packed in straw. It is a luxury. Chunks of white snow are tucked around the expensive fish. The snow melts slowly. It turns into clear water that runs down the marble grooves. Trickle, trickle. The fishmonger arranges a lobster. It is dark blue, it only turns red when cooked. He straightens its antennae. He tucks its claws in. He wants it to look peaceful. Even in death there is order. Beyond the fish, the butcher, Lanius. This is a heavier, quieter stall. Large hooks hang from a wooden beam, iron hooks, black and cold. Hanging from them are sides of pork, legs of lamb. They are pale and cool to the touch. The butcher is sharpening his knife. He uses a whetstone. S-H-H-H-H-H-Zing. S-H-H-H-H-H-Zing. A rhythmic, metallic rasping sound. It cuts through the humid air. He wipes the blade on his apron. He checks the edge with his thumb. He nods. He is ready. He hangs the knife back on his belt. He does not cut anything yet. He just stands there, arms crossed, waiting. A solid, silent figure among the meat. The floor of the market is being swept. A slave with a large broom made of birch twigs is moving systematically across the flagstones. Swish, swish, swish. He is pushing the dust, the stray onion skins, the wilted leaves towards the drain. The sound of the broom is hypnotic. It is a soft scratching. It cleans the slate for the new day. The stone floor looks slightly darker where it has been swept, clean and bare. Light is beginning to filter in from the high windows now. The torches are looking pale. The shadows are softening. The gray light of dawn mixes with the orange light of the fire. It creates a strange, hazy atmosphere. Dust motes dance in the shafts of incoming daylight. A vendor unrolls an awning outside his stall. The canvas is heavy. Flap, snap. He ties the ropes to the wooden poles. He pulls the knot tight. The awning will protect his goods from the sun later. But now it just creates a cozy, sheltered space. We hear the sound of a cart outside. The wooden wheels rumbling on the paving stones. Rumble, rumble, clatter, it stops. The driver calls out softly to his mule. Whoa, then silence. The delivery has arrived. More baskets are brought in. These ones are full of cheese, Cassius, round wheels of pecorino. They smell pungent and salty. They are stacked like bricks. The rind is hard and yellow. The vendor wipes each wheel with a cloth. He treats the cheese with respect. It is concentrated milk, concentrated time. A jar of olives is opened. The lid is pried off. Pop. The smell of brine and vinegar escapes. The olives are black and wrinkled. The vendor uses a wooden ladle to stir them. Slosh, swish. The olives tumble over each other in the dark liquid. He scoops a few into a small tasting bowl, just in case an early customer wants to try. The market is filling up with goods, but not yet with people. It is a museum of abundance. Everything is full. The sacks are full. The jars are full. The baskets are full. There is a feeling of satisfaction in this fullness. The anxiety of scarcity is gone for the moment. Rome has food. The sound level is rising very slowly. A cough. A murmur of conversation between two vendors. Cold morning. Yes, cold. That is all. They go back to work. The light hits the fish stall. The silver scales flash suddenly. A beam of pure morning sun has broken through. It illuminates the mist hanging over the ice. It looks magical, but it is just physics. Sunlight and melting snow. A cat walks through the market, not the flower cat from the bakery. This is a different cat, a sleek tabby cat. It knows there is fish here. It winds its way through the legs of the butcher's table. It rubs against a basket. Purr. The fishmonger sees it. He tosses a small scrap of fish tail to the floor. The cat pounces. Silence. The scrap is gone. The cat sits and washes its face. The organization of the market is complete. The pyramids of apples are perfect. The fan of carrots is symmetrical. The fish are glistening. The floor is swept. The stage is set. The vendors stand behind their counters. They adjust their tunics. They lean back. They wait. The waiting is peaceful. There is nothing left to do. Everything is ready. The large wooden doors of the mausoleum are pushed fully open. Creak. Boom. The heavy doors hit the stone stops. The entrance is wide. The street outside is getting brighter. People are starting to walk by. We can hear their footsteps, clip-clop, shuffle. But for one last moment, inside the hall, it is still the domain of the sellers. The quiet kingdom of goods. The air is still cool. The smells are distinct. The day has officially begun. We float up into the rafters of the market hall, looking down at the grid of stalls. It looks like a patchwork quilt of colors: green cabbage, orange carrots, red meat, silver fish, yellow cheese. It is a beautiful mosaic of survival. Rest your eyes on the colors, soft in the morning light. There is no rush to buy. There is no rush to sell, just the presence of the harvest. The first customer steps across the threshold. An old woman with a basket. She walks slowly, but we do not follow her. We stay in the rafters, watching the dust settle, watching the light move across the floor. It is early morning. The sun has fully cleared the horizon now, but the light in this narrow alley is still gray and soft. We stand before the curtain. It is made of coarse burlap, stained with the dust of the street. Inside, there is a shuffling sound. We slip inside. The room is small. It is not a grand hall of learning. It is a rented shopfront converted for a few hours a day into a classroom. The walls are bare plaster, peeling slightly in the corners. The floor is packed earth, swept clean. The furniture is sparse. There are no desks. There are only benches, long, low wooden benches without backs. They are made of pine, worn smooth by the shifting bottoms of generations of children. They are hard. They encourage upright posture. They discourage sleep. But sleep is heavy in the air this morning. The magister, the teacher, is already here. He sits on a higher chair, a cathedra at the front of the room. He is an older man. He wears a simple tunic and a threadbare cloak. His face is lined with patience and fatigue. He is sharpening a reed pen with a small knife. Scrape, scrape. He tests the point on his thumb. He is satisfied. He places the pen on his small table. The students are arriving. They are young boys, perhaps 7 or 8 years old. They walk in silently. They are still half asleep. Their eyes are puffy. Their hair is tousled. They carry their loculi, satchels made of leather or canvas. Inside are their tools. They sit on the benches, creak, shuffle, thud. They squeeze together to keep warm. The morning air is still chilly in the shade. There is no heating here. They pull their cloaks tighter around their small shoulders. They tuck their hands into their sleeves. The magister clears his throat. It is a dry, authoritative sound, a hum. The room goes completely still. The shuffling stops. The sniffing stops. The lesson begins. It is not a lecture. It is a drill. The education of Rome is built on repetition. Endless, hypnotic repetition. The magister speaks a letter. The boys repeat it in unison. Their voices are a low, flat drone. There is no enthusiasm, just obedience. BBCC. The sound washes over the room. It is a rhythmic chant. It sounds like a prayer, but it is just the alphabet. The magister moves his hand in time with the letters, a slow conducting motion, up, down, up, down. Now the writing practice. The boys reach into their satchels. They pull out their tabulae, wax tablets. These are wooden frames about the size of a modern tablet computer. Inside the frame, black beeswax has been poured and smoothed flat. This is the paper of the schoolroom. It is reusable. It is temporary. They pull out their styli. The stylus is a tool of bone or bronze or iron. One end is sharp and pointed for writing. The other end is flat and wide like a spatula for erasing. To erase, you simply rub the flat end over the wax, smoothing it out again. Tabula rasa, a clean slate. Listen to the sound of the writing. It is a unique texture of sound. Scritch, scratch, scrawl, 10 styluses cutting into cold wax at the same time. It is a dry, friction-filled sound, like mice scratching in a wall. The magister dictates a sentence, a moral maxim, something boring and virtuous. Labor omnia vincit, work conquers all. The boys bend over their tablets. They grip the styluses tight. They carve the letters L. Vertical line, horizontal line, 2 diagonals, 1 crossbar, B. Vertical line, 2 loops. The wax resists slightly. It is cold. It requires pressure. You can see the concentration on their faces, tips of tongues sticking out, brows furrowed, but there is no talking. Only the scratching, scritch, scratch. One boy makes a mistake. He stops. He flips his stylus over. He rubs the wax with the flat end. Rub, 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 the mistake disappears. The black surface is smooth again. He flips the stylus back. He continues. The smell in the room is specific. It smells of the beeswax tablets, a sweet, honey-like scent but mixed with something older, dustier. It smells of the leather satchels. It smells of unwashed wool. It is a confined, intimate smell. The sun moves higher outside. A beam of light cuts through the gap in the curtain. It illuminates the dust motes floating in the room. It lands on the magister's sandal. He moves his foot slightly into the warmth. He does not smile. He just accepts the small comfort. Now it is time for numbers. The tablets are put away. The abacus is brought out. Some boys have their own small pocket abacus made of bronze. Others use a large one at the front. The Roman abacus is a plate with grooves. In the grooves slide small beads or pebbles. Calculi. The sound changes now. It is no longer scratching, it is clicking. Click-clack, click-clack. 1 bead up, 4 beads down, the magister calls out numbers. VII, 7 click-click, IV, 4 click, XII, 12 click-clack. It is a metallic percussive sound, like rain falling on a tin roof, but very slow, very deliberate. There is no rush to find the answer. The process is the point. The boys stare at the beads. They are learning the logic of the empire, counting coins, counting soldiers, counting grain. It all starts here on a cold bench, moving pebbles in a groove. One boy stares at the curtain. He is daydreaming. He watches a fly land on the fabric. The fly rubs its front legs together. It walks upside down. The boy watches it intently. It is the most interesting thing that has happened all morning. The magister sees him. He taps his cane on the floor. Tap, tap. The boy jumps slightly. His eyes snap back to the abacus. Click-clack. The rhythm resumes. The boredom in this room is thick. It is a heavy, tangible thing. It presses down on the eyelids. The repetition is soporific. Ammo, amas, amat. Amamis, amatis, amant. I love, you love, he loves, we love. You plural love, they love. The conjugation of verbs. The endless ladder of grammar, climbing up and down, up and down. There is no summit, just more verbs. The magister stands up. He walks slowly between the benches. He looks at the tablets. He nods at one. He shakes his head at another. He places a hand on a shoulder to correct a posture. His touch is firm but not cruel. He is a gardener tending to row after row of slow-growing plants. Outside, a cart rumbles by. The noise is loud for a moment, drowning out the scratching. Then it fades. The silence rushes back in. The boys are tired. They have been up since dawn. Their stomachs are rumbling quietly. They are waiting for the prandium, the midday meal. But it is not time yet. The shadow on the sundial outside has not reached the mark. We sit in the corner of the room, invisible, watching the slow accumulation of literacy. It is not a spark of genius. It is the grinding of a millstone, slow, steady, essential. The stylus cuts the wax. The wax curls up in tiny black shavings. The boy blows the shavings away. PFFFFT. They drift to the floor. They join the dust. The room feels timeless. This scene has happened every morning for hundreds of years. The same letters, the same sounds, the same bored faces. It creates a sense of continuity, a long, unbroken chain of mornings. The magister sits back down. He closes his eyes for a second. He is reciting a poem from memory. Virgil. Armaverum cano. I sing of arms and the man. His voice is a low rumble. The boys listen. They do not understand the epic meaning yet. They just hear the meter, dactyl, spondy, long, short, short, long. It is a heartbeat rhythm. Dum diddy, dum. The rhythm is soothing. It rocks the mind. You do not need to think. You only need to listen and repeat. The light has moved across the floor. It is brighter now. The morning is aging. The lesson continues. There is no end in sight, just the next letter, and the next. The air here is thick. It hits the back of your throat. It smells sharp, pungent. It is the smell of ammonia. To the Romans, this is the smell of cleanliness. To us, it is heavy and chemical, but after a few minutes, your nose adjusts. It just becomes the background scent of the room. We step inside the Phylonica. It is a large, open-roofed workshop. The floor is wet. Everywhere is wet. Water runs in channels cut into the stone. The walls are stained with splashing. In the center of the room are the vats. These are the washing machines of the ancient world, but they are not powered by electricity. They are powered by human legs. The vats are small masonry stalls about waist high. Inside each stall stands a man, a fullo. He is leaning his arms on the side walls of the stall to support his weight. His tunic is tucked up high, wrapped around his waist. His legs are bare. Look down into the vat. It is filled with water, a special type of clay called fuller's earth, creta fullonia, and aged urine collected from jars on the street. This mixture is alkaline. It dissolves grease. It whitens wool. It is primitive chemistry, but it works. Inside the liquid is the cloth. Heavy wool tunics, togas that have lost their whiteness. Rough blankets, they are soaked through, heavy and sodden. The worker begins his dance. It is the saltus fullonicus, the fuller's jump. He lifts one leg, squish. He stomps it down, splash. He lifts the other leg, squish. He stomps it down, splash. It is a rhythmic, never-ending march. Left, right, left, right. He is not going anywhere. He is marching in place. His feet sink into the soft, wet bundle of fabric. He presses the liquid through the fibers. The friction cleans the cloth. Listen to the sound of the room. There are 6 men working in 6 vats. They are not perfectly in sync, but they create a chaotic, watery rhythm. Splish, splash, squelch. Splish, splash, squelch. It is a wet, heavy sound, like walking through deep mud. The water sloshes against the sides of the vats. Slosh, slap. Occasionally, a droplet flies over the wall and lands on the floor. Splat. The men are tired. This is hard work. Their legs are stained by the chemicals. Their muscles are tight. They stare straight ahead. They do not talk. They just stomp. The boredom of the motion helps them endure it. Up and down, up and down. We watch the water in the vat turn gray. It is pulling the dirt out of the wool. It is pulling the oil out. The foam rises to the top. Dirty, gray bubbles popping slowly. Pop, hiss. Beyond the washing vats are the rinsing tanks. Here, the water is clear and cold. It flows constantly from a lead pipe. Other workers are rinsing the soap out of the cloth. They lean over the large stone basins. They plunge the heavy wet wool into the clean water. Dunk. They agitate it with their hands. Swish, swish. The water turns cloudy as the soap releases. They drain the basin. They fill it again. Gurgle, rush, until the water runs clear. The sound of running water is everywhere. It masks the sound of the city outside. In here, there is only the wet industrial process. Once rinsed, the cloth must be wrung out. This requires 2 men. They take a large wet toga. One holds one end, the other holds the other. They begin to twist, slowly. The fabric spirals tight. Water begins to pour out of the center of the twist. Squeeze, drip, drip, gush. It falls onto the stone floor with a loud splashing sound. They twist harder. Their knuckles turn white. The fabric becomes a hard, tight rope. Every last drop is forced out. Then they release. The fabric untwists slightly. Flump. It is damp now, not soaking. We move to the drying area. Here, the air is warmer. Large wooden frames are set up. They look like bell shapes made of wicker. Viminia cavia. The damp togas are draped over these frames to dry. They look like white ghosts standing in rows. Underneath the frames, a small pot is burning. It contains sulfur. The sulfur burns with a blue, invisible flame. It produces smoke. This smoke bleaches the wool. It makes it brilliant white. Candidus. This is where the word candidate comes from, someone wearing a whitened toga to seek office. The smell of sulfur mixes with the ammonia. It smells like matches that have just been struck. A dry, scratchy scent. It hangs in the quiet air of the drying room. The smoke rises slowly. It filters through the weave of the wool. It turns the yellowish natural wool into a blinding white. It is a slow chemical reaction, silent whitening. In the corner stands the press, the torcular. This is for the final finish. It is a massive wooden device with 2 upright beams and a large wooden screw in the center. Folded clothes are placed between 2 heavy boards at the bottom. The worker turns the screw. It has a long handle. He walks around the press, pushing the handle. Creak. The screw turns. The heavy board descends. Groan. The wood complains under the pressure. He pushes harder. The cloth is compressed. Every wrinkle is flattened out. The fibers are pressed smooth and shiny. He leaves it there. Pressure and time will do the rest. The atmosphere in the Follonica is one of endurance. The work is heavy. The air is bad, but the result is purity. The chaotic, dirty wool becomes the pristine uniform of the Roman citizen. A worker stops to wipe his brow. He leans against a pillar. He takes a drink of water from a ladle. He looks at his feet. They are wrinkled from being wet for hours. Washerwoman's hands, but on his feet. He sighs. He climbs back into the vat. He grabs the sides, he lifts his leg, squish. The rhythm restarts. There is a cat here too. No, no cats here. The smell is too strong for them, only the humans and the cloth. Dust motes cannot float here. The air is too wet. Instead, steam floats. Vapor rising from the warm vats in the cool morning air. It swirls around the workers' legs. It makes the scene look dreamy and soft despite the hard work. The light coming in from the roof is filtered by the steam. It is a gray, diffused light. It reflects off the wet floor. The whole room shimmers slightly. Wet stone, wet wool, wet skin. Listen to the splish-splash one more time. It is a heartbeat of the city's hygiene. Constant, monotonous, hypnotic. If you close your eyes, it sounds like waves hitting a shore, or rain falling in a puddle. But it is just feet, walking nowhere, cleaning the empire one stomp at a time. We will float here for a moment in the humid air, feeling the dampness, watching the slow rotation of the press, watching the smoke rise through the wicker frames. Everything is being cleansed. Everything is being renewed. We are standing at the base of a half-finished structure. It will be an insula, an apartment block, or perhaps a small temple. Right now, it is just a skeleton of brick and timber. The air here is dry. It smells of dust, of crushed stone, of quicklime. It is a chalky, earthy smell that coats the back of the throat. The ground is covered in a fine layer of white powder. If you walk here, puffs of white dust rise around your sandals. Poof, poof. They hang in the still air before settling back down. Let us look at the foundation. The workers are mixing the most important substance in the empire, Roman concrete, opus cementitium. There is a large pit in the ground. Inside, men are mixing the ingredients. Volcanic ash pozzolana brought from the fiery fields near Naples. It is dark red and gray, lime white and caustic, sand, and fist-sized chunks of rock called cimenta. They use heavy hoes, hoe, drag, squelch. They pull the hoe through the thick gray mud. It is heavy work. The mixture resists them. Drag, slap. Water is added from buckets. Splash. The lime reacts with the water. It creates heat. If you were to touch the side of the mixing pit, it would feel warm. The concrete is cooking. It is a chemical reaction that turns liquid mud into artificial rock. It bubbles slightly. Blup, releasing a tiny puff of steam. We move to the wall itself. A mason structor is working. He is building a brick facing for the concrete core. He stands on a wooden scaffold. The scaffold is made of rough poles lashed together with rope. It creaks slightly when he moves. Kriyak. Watch his hands. He picks up a brick. It is a triangular brick, flat and red. He holds it in his left hand. In his right hand, he holds a trowel, trulla. It is a triangular blade of iron with a wooden handle. He dips the trowel into a bucket of mortar, scoop. He slaps the mortar onto the wall, splat. He spreads it out, scrape, scrape. The sound of metal on stone is sharp and clean. He creates a smooth bed of gray paste. He places the brick. He presses it down. He taps it with the handle of the trowel. Tap, 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 to set it level, to remove the air bubbles. He checks his work. He uses a plumb bob perpendiculum, a lead weight hanging on a string. He holds the string against the wall. The weight hangs down perfectly vertical. Gravity is his ruler. The string does not lie. The wall is straight. He nods. He reaches for another brick. Scoop, splat, scrape, tap, scoop, splat, scrape, tap. It is a slow rhythm, one brick at a time. The wall grows by inches. It will take weeks to finish this floor, but he is not in a hurry. He is building for centuries. The brick he lays today will be there in 1,000 years. It is a permanent act. Now look up. Dominating the site is the crane, the Polispastos. It is a giant machine made of timber. Two massive beams form an A-frame towering into the sky. At the bottom there is a great wooden wheel, a tread wheel. It looks like a giant hamster wheel, taller than a man. Inside the wheel there are two men. They are walking. They are climbing the slats of the wheel, but the wheel turns beneath them so they stay in the same place. They are the engine. Their weight and their walking provide the power. Step, step, step. The wheel turns, creak, groan. The axle is greased with animal fat, but the wood still complains under the strain. It is a low, moaning sound that echoes through the site. Ropes run from the axle up to the top of the crane through a system of pulleys, block and tackle. The ropes are made of twisted hemp. They are as thick as your wrist. They are pulled tight. They vibrate with tension. Hanging from the hook at the end of the rope is a block of stone, travertine. It weighs 2 tons. It is hanging in the air, suspended. The men in the wheel walk slowly. They cannot rush. If they rush, the stone swings. They must be steady. Step, creak, step, creak. The stone rises, inch by inch. It moves past the first floor. It moves past the scaffold. The mason watches it come up. He signals with his hand. Hold. The men in the wheel stop. They hold their position. They lean against the internal bar of the wheel to lock it. The wheel stops creaking. The stone hangs motionless in the air, rotating very, very slowly on the rope. The shadow of the stone falls across the wall, a perfect rectangle of shade. The mason reaches out. He guides the stone. He pushes it gently. It swings obediently. It hovers over its final resting place. Lower. The men in the wheel take a step backward, controlled release. Creak. The stone descends, crunch. It lands on the mortar bed. The weight settles. The mortar squeezes out from the sides like toothpaste. The mason scrapes off the excess mortar. Scrape. The stone is part of the building now. It will never move again. The men in the wheel wipe their faces. They take a breath. The wheel rocks slightly as they shift their weight. Rock. Rock. They wait for the next load. The sun is getting higher. It beats down on the white dust. The site is bright, glaringly bright. Reflected light bounces off the limestone. It makes you squint. A water boy walks around. He carries a clay jug. He offers a cup to the mason. The mason drinks. The water is warm but wet. He splashes a little on his neck. It dries almost instantly in the dry air. There is a pile of timber nearby, beams of pine and fir. They smell of resin. They are drying in the sun. Sometimes a piece of wood cracks from the heat. Crack. A sudden sharp sound, then silence again. A lizard runs across a block of marble. It stops in the sun. It pumps its body up and down. It looks at the crane. It skitters away. The geometry of the site is pleasing. Straight lines of the walls, curved lines of the arches, triangles of the roof trusses. It is order being imposed on chaos. Raw rock is being turned into a city. There is no shouting here. The workers know what to do. A whistle, a hand signal, a grunt. That is the language of the site. The mixing pit continues to churn. Squelch, slap. The wheel continues to turn, creak, groan. The trowel continues to tap, tap, tap. It is a slow-motion performance. If you watched it for an hour, you would barely see the progress. But if you come back tomorrow, the wall will be higher. If you come back next month, the roof will be on. Feel the heat radiating from the bricks. Feel the dust settling on your skin. Feel the heaviness of the stone block. It is a grounded feeling, solid, real. There is nothing abstract here, only weight, balance, and friction, the physics of the world at rest and in motion. The crane rope sways gently in the breeze, swish. It brushes against the wooden frame, a soft, fibrous sound. The men in the wheel start walking again, step, step. The next stone begins its journey up, slowly, so slowly, rising into the blue sky. The sun is bright outside, but as we step through the high bronze doors, the world turns dark. The transition is instant. The heat of the day is left behind on the porch. Inside, the air is cool. It is still. It is trapped in stone. This is the cella, the inner chamber, the house of the god. The room is vast and rectangular. The ceiling is lost in the shadows high above, coffered with wooden beams painted in gold and blue. But down here on the floor, the light is dim. There are no windows at eye level. The only light comes from the open door behind us and from the hundreds of oil lamps standing on stands and tables. The air is thick with a specific scent. It is the smell of sanctity, frankincense, tuss. It is a sweet, resinous, smoky smell. It catches in the back of the throat. It smells like pine and lemon and old wood. The smoke hangs in the air in thin, blue ribbons. It does not move because there is no wind. It just drifts upwards, slowly coiling around the columns. Let your eyes adjust to the gloom. The floor is made of polished marble, large slabs of colored stone, green serpentine, red porphyry, white Carrara. They are cold and smooth. If you walked here barefoot, the stone would feel like ice. Your reflection would appear in the floor, a dark, ghostly shape moving across the stone. In the center of the room at the far end stands the statue. The simulacrum. It is colossal. It sits on a high plinth towering over the room. It is made of white marble or perhaps ivory and gold. Let us look at it. It is a figure of a god at rest, sitting on a throne. One hand holds a staff, the other rests on a knee. The face is impassive. It is not smiling. It is not frowning. It is simply staring, looking out over the empty room, looking through the open door, looking at eternity. The eyes of the statue are painted. The pupils are dark. In the flickering lamplight they seem to watch you, but they do not move. It is a gaze of absolute indifference, peaceful, heavy indifference. At the feet of the statue there is an altar table. It is covered in a linen cloth. The cloth is white, embroidered with a purple border. On the table are the gifts, the votives. People come here to ask for help. They leave things behind. There are small terracotta figurines, tiny clay feet, tiny clay hands left by people praying for healing. They sit in a pile. Dust has settled on them, a layer of gray dust on the reddish clay. They are silent prayers waiting to be answered, waiting in the dark. There is an attendant here, the Editus, the temple keeper. He is not a high priest in fancy robes. He is an old man in a simple gray tunic. He is moving slowly around the room. He is doing his job. He holds a rag and a small jar of oil. Watch him work. He stops at a bronze lampstand. The flame is flickering. The wick is getting low. He reaches out. He uses a small metal pick to pull up the wick, scrape. The flame jumps up, brighter, clearer. He pours a little oil from his jar into the lamp. Glug, glug, the thick olive oil fills the reservoir. The lamp is fed. He moves to the next one. Step, shuffle, step. He does not look at the god. He has seen the statue every day for 40 years. To him, it is a piece of furniture that needs dusting. He wipes the base of the lamp stand with his rag. Rub, rub, removing a smudge of soot. He is meticulous. He is slow. He is the caretaker of the silence. The atmosphere in the room is heavy. It feels like the air is pressurized. The stone walls are thick. They block out all the sound from the forum outside. You cannot hear the carts. You cannot hear the shouting. You can only hear the faint hiss of the burning lamps and the shuffle of the old man's sandals. There are heavy curtains hanging between the columns, rich, dark velvet or wool. They absorb sound, they dampen the echo, they make the room feel padded, safe, enclosed. Let us sit on a low stone bench near the wall, lean back against the cool marble, look up at the statue. The gold leaf on the statue's robe catches the light. It glimmers, a spark of light in the shadow. Then it fades as the lamp flickers. Then it sparks again. It is a slow pulse. There is no concept of time here. The sun moves across the sky outside, but inside the light is always the same. Golden, dim, hazy. It could be noon, it could be dusk. The god does not care. The god sits in eternal twilight. A fly buzzes near the altar. Bzzzzzzzzzzz. It lands on a silver bowl full of dried fruit and offering. It walks across a dried fig. The sound of the fly is loud in the silence. Then it stops. The silence returns, heavier than before. The smoke from the incense burner is getting thicker. It creates a screen between us and the statue. The face of the god becomes blurry, softened by the haze. It looks dreamlike, floating in the smoke. The smell of the frankincense is soporific. It relaxes the muscles. It slows the breathing. It is a heavy, sedative perfume, designed to calm the mind, designed to make you stop thinking. The old man coughs, a hum, a dry, dusty cough. The sound echoes slightly in the high ceiling. Then it is gone. He continues his round, lighting, wiping, pouring, lighting, wiping, pouring. It is a ritual of maintenance. There are shadows in the corners of the room that are pitch black. The light does not reach them. They are deep pools of darkness. You can rest your eyes there. Nothing to see, just black void. The marble columns are massive. They rise up like trees in a stone forest. They are fluted, carved with vertical grooves. The shadows lie in the grooves, stripes of dark and light, repeating, column after column, rhythm in stone. The air is cool, but the lamps give off a tiny amount of heat. If you stand near one, you can feel it on your face. A gentle, glowing warmth, like a tiny sun. The statue holds a sphere in its hand, representing the world. It holds the world lightly. It does not grip it. The sphere rests on the palm, perfectly balanced, motionless. Everything here is balanced. The architecture is symmetrical. The light is balanced by the dark. The silence is balanced by the faint hiss of the flame. It is a place of equilibrium. The old man finishes his round. He stands by the door. He looks back at the room. He checks the lights. He nods. He sits down on a small stool in the shadow of the door. He folds his hands in his lap. He waits. He is not praying. He is just sitting, keeping the god company. We float upwards towards the ceiling, into the smoke, looking down at the room. The floor looks like a chessboard. The statue looks foreshortened. The lamps look like a constellation of stars on the ground. It is a sanctuary of boredom. Nothing happens here. The myths are painted on the walls, full of action and drama, but the room itself is still. The painted heroes are frozen in mid-battle. The painted monsters are frozen in mid-roar. Silence has conquered them all. The smoke rises past us, drifting up to the roof beams. It will eventually seep out through the tiles, carrying the prayers of the city into the sky. But down below, the air is still heavy. The incense burns, the oil is consumed, the stone stays cold. Rest in the shadow of the column. Smell the resin, watch the flame. The god is watching over the silence, and the silence is watching over you. We are high above the city now. We are floating on the evening breeze. The sun, Sol Invictus, is beginning its descent. It hangs low in the western sky over the river, over the distant sea. The fierce, white heat of noon is gone. The light has turned golden again. It is thick, rich, and honey-colored. It pours over the rooftops of the city. It touches the bronze tiles of the temples, making them burn like fire for a few minutes. It touches the marble statues on the columns, giving them long, dramatic shadows. Below us, the city is exhaling. The frantic energy of the morning market is over. The noise of the construction site has stopped. The wheel of the crane is still. The streets are filling with shadows. The canyons between the apartment blocks are turning purple. We drift over the forum. The crowds are thinning out. The politicians have gone home. The lawyers have packed up their scrolls. The money changers are sweeping their tables. We see a shopkeeper, perhaps the same one from the beginning, or perhaps his neighbor. He is stepping out of his door. He looks at the sky. He wipes his hands on his tunic. He reaches for the heavy wooden shutter. Creak. He pulls it shut. Thud. He reaches for the second one. Creak. Thud. He slides the bar across. The shop is closed. The day's earning is done. The smell of the city is changing. The dust of the day is settling. Now, rising from thousands of chimneys and windows, comes the smell of the evening meal. Cena, wood smoke, roasting onions, boiling lentils. It is a savory, comforting blanket of scent that covers the 7 hills. It tells us that the work is finished. It is time to eat. It is time to rest. We drift further west towards the river. The Tiber is reflecting the sunset. The water is a sheet of liquid copper. It flows slowly, carrying the light out to the sea. The barges are tying up for the night. We hear the distant rattle of an anchor chain. Clank, clank, splash. The river is settling down to sleep. Let us look at the birds, the starlings, sterni. They are gathering in the sky above the temples. Thousands of them, they form a murmuration. A giant shifting cloud of black dots against the gold sky. They swirl together, expanding, contracting like a single living organism. Whoosh! The sound of thousands of wings beating the air. They turn and the cloud changes shape. Now a sphere, now a ribbon. They are dancing the day away. Then, as if by a silent signal, they dive. They descend into the trees along the riverbank. The cloud dissolves. The sky is empty. The light is fading fast now. The gold turns to orange. The orange turns to a deep, bruised violet. The blue hour, the time between the day and the night. The temperature drops. You can feel the cool air rising from the stones. The heat stored in the pavement all day is releasing. If you put your hand near the ground, you would feel the ghost of the sun. We zoom out. Expand your vision beyond the city. Imagine the sunset sweeping across the empire. It is a wave of darkness traveling west. It has already covered the east. In Egypt, the pyramids are silhouettes against a starry sky. The desert is cooling. The Nile is a dark ribbon. In Greece, the white columns of the Parthenon are gray in the moonlight. The owl of Athena is hunting. Here in Italy, the light is just leaving. Further west, in Gaul, France, the sun is still touching the tops of the forests. The legions are setting up their camps for the night. And in Britannia, at the edge of the world, it is still late afternoon. The rain is falling on the green walls. But here, in the heart of the world, the cycle is complete. The sun dips below the horizon. Slip, it is gone. The sky holds the light for a little longer, then gives up. The first star appears. Maybe it is Venus again, or maybe Jupiter, a tiny pinprick of white in the purple dome. The lamps are being lit again, just like in part 1. One by one, the windows of the city begin to glow, tiny orange squares appearing in the dark mass of buildings, a constellation of domesticity. Behind every window there is a family, eating bread, drinking wine, talking softly, preparing for bed. The sounds of the city change. The heavy carts are allowed back on the streets now that the sun is down. Rumble, rumble. But from this height it is just a low, distant hum, a white noise. It is the breathing of the city, in and out. We drift back down towards the rooftops. We land gently on a terracotta tile. It is cool to the touch. We sit there, watching the night take hold. There is a sense of immense peace in this repetition. This has happened for 1,000 years. It will happen for 1,000 more. The sun rises. The coins are earned. The bread is baked. The sun sets. The sun rises. The coins are spent. The bread is eaten. The sun sets. It is the great wheel. It turns slowly. It carries everyone with it. You are part of this wheel. You are safe within it. There is nothing new to worry about. The history is written. The stone is set. The day is done. The wind blows gently over the roof. Hush. It whispers over the tiles. It carries the silence of the countryside into the city. The silence of the shepherd. The silence of the olive trees. It wraps around the buildings. The night watchman is waking up. He is putting on his sandals. Buckle. He grabs his lantern. He steps out into the street. The cycle begins again. But we do not need to watch him tonight. We know he is there. We know he is walking. The city is a stone cradle, and you are lying in it. The sky is a wool blanket, and it is pulled up to your chin. Let go of the day. Let go of the light. Let the darkness support you. It is heavy. It is soft. It is kind. The Roman Empire is asleep. The emperor is asleep in his palace. The baker is asleep by his oven. The soldier is asleep on the wall. The fish are asleep in the harbor. There is nothing left to do. The story is over. The scroll is rolled up. The tie is knotted. It is placed on the shelf in the dark library to rest. Close your eyes. Listen to the silence of the stone. Listen to the silence of the stars. Sleep. We are high above the city now. We are floating on the evening breeze. The sun, Sol Invictus, is beginning its descent. It hangs low in the western sky over the river, over the distant sea. The fierce, white heat of noon is gone. The light has turned golden again. It is thick, rich, and honey-colored. It pours over the rooftops of the city. It touches the bronze tiles of the temples, making them burn like fire for a few minutes. It touches the marble statues on the columns, giving them long, dramatic shadows. Below us, the city is exhaling. The frantic energy of the morning market is over. The noise of the construction site has stopped. The wheel of the crane is still. The streets are filling with shadows. The canyons between the apartment blocks are turning purple. We drift over the forum. The crowds are thinning out. The politicians have gone home. The lawyers have packed up their scrolls. The money changers are sweeping their tables. We see a shopkeeper, perhaps the same one from the beginning, or perhaps his neighbor. He is stepping out of his door. He looks at the sky. He wipes his hands on his tunic. He reaches for the heavy wooden shutter. Creak. He pulls it shut. Thud. He reaches for the second one. Creak. Thud. He slides the bar across. The shop is closed. The day's earning is done. The smell of the city is changing. The dust of the day is settling. Now, rising from thousands of chimneys and windows, comes the smell of the evening meal. Cena, wood smoke, roasting onions, boiling lentils. It is a savory, comforting blanket of scent that covers the 7 hills. It tells us that the work is finished. It is time to eat. It is time to rest. We drift further west towards the river. The Tiber is reflecting the sunset. The water is a sheet of liquid copper. It flows slowly, carrying the light out to the sea. The barges are tying up for the night. We hear the distant rattle of an anchor chain. Clank, clank, splash. The river is settling down to sleep. Let us look at the birds, the starlings, sterni. They are gathering in the sky above the temples. Thousands of them, they form a murmuration. A giant shifting cloud of black dots against the gold sky. They swirl together, expanding, contracting like a single living organism. Whoosh! The sound of thousands of wings beating the air. They turn and the cloud changes shape. Now a sphere, now a ribbon. They are dancing the day away. Then, as if by a silent signal, they dive. They descend into the trees along the riverbank. The cloud dissolves. The sky is empty. The light is fading fast now. The gold turns to orange. The orange turns to a deep, bruised violet. The blue hour, the time between the day and the night. The temperature drops. You can feel the cool air rising from the stones. The heat stored in the pavement all day is releasing. If you put your hand near the ground, you would feel the ghost of the sun. We zoom out. Expand your vision beyond the city. Imagine the sunset sweeping across the empire. It is a wave of darkness traveling west. It has already covered the east. In Egypt, the pyramids are silhouettes against a starry sky. The desert is cooling. The Nile is a dark ribbon. In Greece, the white columns of the Parthenon are gray in the moonlight. The owl of Athena is hunting. Here in Italy, the light is just leaving. Further west, in Gaul, France, the sun is still touching the tops of the forests. The legions are setting up their camps for the night. And in Britannia, at the edge of the world, it is still late afternoon. The rain is falling on the green walls. But here, in the heart of the world, the cycle is complete. The sun dips below the horizon. Slip, it is gone. The sky holds the light for a little longer, then gives up. The first star appears. Maybe it is Venus again, or maybe Jupiter, a tiny pinprick of white in the purple dome. The lamps are being lit again, just like in part 1. One by one, the windows of the city begin to glow. Tiny orange squares appearing in the dark mass of buildings, a constellation of domesticity. Behind every window there is a family, eating bread, drinking wine, talking softly, preparing for bed. The sounds of the city change. The heavy carts are allowed back on the streets now that the sun is down. Rumble, rumble. But from this height it is just a low, distant hum, a white noise. It is the breathing of the city, in and out. We drift back down towards the rooftops. We land gently on a terracotta tile. It is cool to the touch. We sit there, watching the night take hold. There is a sense of immense peace in this repetition. This has happened for 1,000 years. It will happen for 1,000 more. The sun rises. The coins are earned. The bread is baked. The sun sets. The sun rises. The coins are spent. The bread is eaten. The sun sets. It is the great wheel. It turns slowly. It carries everyone with it. You are part of this wheel. You are safe within it. There is nothing new to worry about. The history is written. The stone is set. The day is done. The wind blows gently over the roof. Hush. It whispers over the tiles. It carries the silence of the countryside into the city. The silence of the shepherd. The silence of the olive trees. It wraps around the buildings. The night watchman is waking up. He is putting on his sandals. Buckle. He grabs his lantern. He steps out into the street. The cycle begins again. But we do not need to watch him tonight. We know he is there. We know he is walking. The city is a stone cradle, and you are lying in it. The sky is a wool blanket, and it is pulled up to your chin. Let go of the day, let go of the light. Let the darkness support you. It is heavy, it is soft, it is kind. The Roman Empire is asleep. The emperor is asleep in his palace. The baker is asleep by his oven. The soldier is asleep on the wall. The fish are asleep in the harbor. There is nothing left to do. The story is over. The scroll is rolled up. The tie is knotted. It is placed on the shelf in the dark library to rest. Close your eyes. Listen to the silence of the stone. Listen to the silence of the stars. Sleep.